Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rage and Love, where we passionately debate and explore topics about religion, science, history, and current events. And I'm joined by Joseph right over there today. How are you doing?
We had an echo. Sorry.
Oh, was that me? You're good. I think there's some technical difficulties. I don't know if you're hearing me.
All right, it's better. There we go. I think you fixed it.
Okay, good. I don't know. I didn't touch anything. So you fixed it.
Maybe it was on my side. My bad. Continue.
so, I was just asking how you were doing. How's your week been?
Yeah, week's been, I guess, fairly good based on everything going on in the political sphere these days. But yeah, not too bad. We're almost to actually tomorrow's hump day. So yeah, halfway through the week.
Yeah, not yet. Bummer. So, anyways, tonight's conversation is one that hits a little bit deep for me, as a woman, because we're going to be talking about toxic masculinity. And not masculinity in itself, but the rigid, harmful expectations that tell men that they can't cry or that they can't ask for help or that they can't be gentle and that they must always dominate in order to show their worth. These type of ideas damage relationships. They fuel violence against women. They force men to hide their feelings, which then limits their emotional connections that they can develop with their partners. And toxic masculinity also impacts how we parent the next generation. So, joining us tonight, we have someone that works specifically with men, helping them navigate identity, emotions, and providing them with healing beyond those outdated expectations. So, to help us unpack these things and what tell us what healthy masculinity can look like is Jason Friedman.
Hey
There
guys,
you are.
Hey, Jason, welcome.
thanks. I appreciate you guys having me here. I really do. It's really cool what you guys got going on.
Yeah, thank you. We,
Oh,
we
for
try
sure.
to, talk about important topics, things
Yeah.
that even within our own little circle of atheists and humanists, that
Hmm.
they're still really important because there's people that still haven't completely deconstructed these ideas. I think
Oh,
you would
yeah.
say
Well,
so.
I think these ideas are actually kind of at the core of all that stuff. So even after you stop believing in things or change your beliefs or whatever, you're still behaving the same way the next day. So
That's true. Yeah, I noticed that even myself, right? When I was like, okay, I'm an atheist, but then like a year later I was watching videos and having conversations about purity culture, and I
mhm.
didn't even realize how much it still affected me even after I had already called myself an atheist for like over a year. So it's
Mhm.
like, all right, okay. So I feel like masculinity versus toxic masculinity is another one of those things that people still don't fully deconvert for. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight for anybody.
Well, no, I fully agree. I mean, especially with like how I was raised. I know my experience. I was raised to be, the man is the head of the household, and the person that drove that into me was actually my mom, which is
Oh
really
wow.
interesting. And
Mhm.
that she was all about being a submissive wife. I mean, I'm Gen X, so come from the satanic panic generation and all the evangelical movement generation. Guys like was it Bob Larson, all those crazy guys. Um,
Oh,
so you had a real strong, you had things like Focus on the Family, guys like Goddard, and his, like, I think it was at the Family Life Association, or I forget, it was something like that. People like, Nancy Reagan, and just those were all the politics surrounding the culture at that time. And, you got to think even that term, make America great again, that came from Reagan, so it's, so you have
Yeah,
all that
true.
kind of fueled that world. And I think especially like with Gen X, like we definitely have a lot of really harsh layover from a lot of that the two generations prior, and I think it really conflicts because you get a lot of Gen X folks who consider themselves liberal or leftist or whatever, but still, you listen to the comedy that a lot of guys like Carlin and Stanhope. It's problematic, even though those guys are still, you know, pro all the stuff that we are. There's still a lot of problematic language and behavior in that a lot of guys are like, oh man, I'm an ally. Why can't I just say this and that? And I think that kind of comes to the root of what you're saying. Like there's masculinity, but there's like the toxic aspect of it, which is, in a lot of cases, not wanting to change things as an infringement on your identity, I guess, or who you are.
Yeah, I know. Even like I said, within the content creators that we engage with, I was surprised to see one of them that has a pretty major platform claiming that um, there is no rape culture in America. And
Oh,
then
dude.
when he was asked about it, he was like, "Well, I don't even think there's a patriarchy." I was like, "Okay, dude, that's a lot."
No, it's crazy to see that, especially with some recent things that have happened within kind of that humanist activist group stuff with splits and people not working with other people and things like that have been happening over the past, I'd say 3 to 5, maybe 7 years. It's all been related to that stuff. It's all been related to the clear and obvious platforming and privileges and choosing organizations over community and people. And all it is just a continuation of that same ethic. Like I just recently dealt with a situation and I told the people involved, I'm like, guys, this is the same shit I went through whenever my church youth group told me that I can't be a part of them anymore. Right. It wasn't because I didn't believe, it wasn't because of anything. It's just because, they saw that I was questioning or shaking up the status quo. So you just get gaslit and told that it's only business. I think, it's a real problem. So there's so much carryover in the behavior that it doesn't really matter if you don't believe in a God or not, right? It's what are your behaviors? And then how are you treating people who actually are marginalized? When they say that they're being marginalized, you treat them and gaslight them the same as anybody else. Then you're no different. So you don't believe in something. What does that even mean?
Yeah, and I think about it in the same way that we see religion, right? Like they see God as like the top of the umbrella, and then beneath is like pastors and priests, like the
Mm-hmm.
leadership of the church. Then you have the husband, then you have the wife, and then you have the children. And it's like you take away the God, and it's like all of those structures, like
Mm-hmm.
people still don't completely break them apart. Like they still feel like there's something above them that has to have that control, that authority. And generally speaking, in society, that has been men. Men have been like at
Mm-hmm.
the top of the hierarchy. So let me ask you, like, as I mentioned in the intro, like there's a difference between masculinity and toxic masculinity. So how would you define toxic masculinity?
Well, I mean, even the word masculinity is difficult for me, but I would say the best way to describe what we would call toxic masculinity is, I mean, masculinity, of course, is relative to the culture that you're in, right? So if I would almost argue that even the term masculinity is toxic. That's just me. I'm kind of been playing with that lately because what it does, it automatically seems to assume these like cultural norms, but in these cultural narratives that are promoted, media, government, churches, institutions, ways of speaking and thinking. I think that masculinity is wholly dependent upon, you know, I mean, at least what we're seeing right now, what keeps you in the in group, and what keeps you safe. To me, toxic masculinity is a place of fear. Honestly, it's a very hyper emotional, fear driven state. I know that whenever I was behaving in ways that I would consider what we would view as toxic masculinity, it was in response it was a fear response. It was because I didn't feel safe. It's because I felt like I had to behave in these ways in order to assert myself because I was insecure in other areas, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, I wasn't safe. I had been traumatized, but instead of working through those things and recognizing them or having resources or having the language or knowledge or whatever to be able to do those things, the way that I tried to cope was just become scarier than the things that scared me. But ultimately, it was still just a response. So I think toxic masculinity, like we see now with a lot of political shit, and can I can say political stuff, right? Just to make
Yeah.
sure. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're fine. Yeah, you're fine. You can name
Like
names, whatever.
yeah, like you see with pretty much at this point anybody who's crying about that guy who got
Off. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and anybody's crying about all that and crying about all this. What I keep seeing everybody say, everybody, I don't even mean to be hyperbolic. It's like he believed what I believe. He's like me. He's like this, and there's it's it has nothing to do with that guy. It's all about this like fear driven martyrdom, like you just love being victimized, so then you can go inflict on somebody else, and then it's this like persecution kink thing. And if you start looking back, and I feel like zooming out, and you look at men who behave in this way, they're just whining about how persecuted they fucking are all the time and how hard it is. And yeah, it's hard. I trust me, it's hard. You and I, we've all talked on the side, and life's hard. And I've caught on fire at jobs. I don't. Men tend to be the ones catching on fire at work, right? But women tend to be the ones working two jobs and only getting paid for one. So I mean, we're all getting fucked, right? That's what Marx was griping about, But again, I digress. It's yeah, shit's hard, but it's fucking hard for everybody. And I think that's what scares a lot of men, is because they're such a fucking baby that that any expectation outside of just the basics is too much. So then you breed a culture of narcissists. And I hate using that word loosely. I'm using it in the term like you get people with narcissistic traits to where everything that's wrong with them, they hide, and then they project it on other people, and then triangulate situations to gaslight people, to make the people who
Yeah.
are being honest feel bad. I mean, it's so fucked, right? We just saw this happen, right? Like we literally in
Yeah.
real time saw this
Yeah.
happen time and time again, over and over in the past couple months, and it grosses me out, and like I'll take a Trump supporting blatant racist bigot over somebody who's fucking virtue signaling any day, because at least I know where I stand with that piece of shit. These other people who play both sides, that's that fucking dirty corporate toxic masculinity shit. Again, like at least this piece of shit is being blatant and open about who they are,
Right.
right?
Yeah, not hiding for sure.
Yeah. No, a snake out in the open is a snake out in the open. I can just walk the other way, or if it's attacking me, I know what I'm dealing with. But getting stabbed in the back, that's a motherfucker right there. That's something else. Especially whenever you've bought in for a long enough time. So I think that's definitely the thing I've been focusing on or noticing lately is like people whose whole thing is being a good person. I don't care what it is. Like if you start acting like you start pretending like you're moral, and you start like, we all drive cars. I don't know how really moral we really are. So throw morality out the window, right? You start saying these things and these things. Well, if your product is love or friendship or community, if that's your product, you're selling those things. Again, it's what's the difference, right? So it's, again, those are more toxic traits that are just refabricated and remolded to take advantage of the same fucking people, of the same marginalized groups, right? Like look at so many of these groups. Who are the volunteers, right? And who's getting paid? Who are the volunteers and who's getting paid? I'm saying in humanitarian aid, in Red Cross, and all these different communities, who's up top and who's volunteering? Who's really putting in the fucking work, and who's getting
Yeah, the stuff
compensated
you
and
don't
who's not.
see.
That's what I'm saying, so sadly that's the structure of the world we live in, and I think it's maybe a fool's errand to push against it, but I don't think so, because if we can do something, then that paves the way for different types of thought, and then they can pave the way for different types of thought. I'm not saying we're going to change the world, but I'm saying within our own community, maybe we could start purging some of that bullshit that's
Well, yeah, I
still like
mean,
latent.
that's where it starts on the
Yeah.
local, smaller level, and
Yeah.
then you expand it from there. So no, definitely agree with that.
No. Yeah, that's at least that's where I want to go with like my current kind of just master plan in life right now. Like you notice the deficits. There's deficits in things like access to mental health resources, and especially for dudes, because and it's sad because we've done it to ourselves. But I mean, it's just like we're seeing with the farmers who voted for fucking Trump. Now they're having to get
Oh.
bailed out for their stupid fucking decisions. Oh, look at the industry I'm in. The oil and gas industry is fucking tanking. Normally, like I'm rolling and fucking. I mean, I'm a senior certified welding inspector. We make we do well. It's now I'm like thinking about asking. It's just ridiculous where we're at right now with this economy and the people who voted it in. I got guys like senior guys above me being like, "Oh man, I thought he was going to do good." And I go, "Well, you fucking voted for him, bro." I mean, why'd you do that? So, okay. So again, I digress. So we're looking at a world right now to where men need mental health, like intervention, right? And
They do.
we need community, real community, not community that's sold, like actual community. People need to pay their bills, right? And then people need to have affordable options. People need to, you need to have all those things working together right now, which aren't working. So like in my mind, okay, like I've been studying things like informal group therapy or group support net, or how do you facilitate these things? I've got a big manual on it, and I just, applied for grad school for my MSW. So this has definitely been something that's on my mind. And then of course my partner being a behaviorist, and who leads groups, and it's just been something that's really, I've wanted to do for years, so I feel like right now is a good time. So like we're doing a thing right now, and I've got people on my board and some other people, and we've talked about it, and other people involved, and I hope are watching and listening and will watch, who've all kind of been sick of just everything that have been talking. So what am I good at? I'm good at like organizing shit and getting shit done. So right now I've organized, other people can do the shit. I'm just good at like getting it done and protecting it. Right. And being a spokesperson ish about it. But the thing I don't want to do, I don't want to get out of my lane. So my vision right now is I'm filing for this 501c3 nonprofit called Hope and Anchor Community Outreach, which is, of course, is a secular humanist based thing that's only going to have, and that's, I have no problem including religious people as long as they share the same progressive values. I think that would be beautiful. But what my mind is right now, kind of where I'm at. So what are my demographics, right? I'm a Caucasian presenting, cis male. I'm queer. I have gone through therapy for things like CPTSD. So I have that diagnosis related to religious trauma. And I'm also autistic. So I take, and then I have experience in like subculture and underground, and, I'm a working class dude, worked a million hours, different, trades. Okay. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, well, who really needs shit like that? Who needs help? It's like, well, people in my demographic do. So what can I do? I'm like, well, I've led groups before. I led a group on the ACD for about a year and a half, religious trauma support group, facilitated stuff, had interviews and things. So I'm like, well, what can I do? I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna start some groups, and I've been trying to figure out what I want to do with my psychology degree, going to grad school now. Want to do something in the meantime. Sorry, I got to sneeze.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So sorry. So I was brainstorming with my partner, and M's like, "Hey, you're really good at running groups, you know?" And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So been looking into the structure, and I'm like, "Well, I want to do more than just run groups. I want to do a thing." So we're establishing this nonprofit, putting in all the paperwork this week, and primarily what I'm starting with is so I've established like a group at my buddy's middle school. He's an AP psychology teacher, and we're doing a guys group. And right now, I think it's time frame. I'm not sure, but it's unimportant. So our first get together is titled "What Pisses You Off." You know,
I like that.
and for a bunch of 6th, 8th grade dudes, I mean, that's pretty fucking pertinent, right? And my buddy was telling me how like they just love being able to go into these deep emotional things, behaviorism and things like that. So we've got a lesson plan set up. We're going to meet together. He's going to give them extra credit, right? I mean, you got to incentivize these guys, but these dudes are going to be able to sit down and with a bunch of other classmates, people they got to be stuck with every day, be vulnerable. And we got a whole thing set up to where we're going to do like anonymous stuff. And if you want to voice it, you can say it, or I'll just read it. Things like we have some cool stuff set up, and then 10 minutes in the group here, and 10 minutes here, and 10 minutes there. And this a good buddy of mine, known him forever. Our kids hang out. I babysit his birds. There was a show that I was on where you can see the bird loving me, and it's funny. So all that said, so we've got that going, and that's a young guys group. So I'm like, okay, that's good. So we're going to help some adolescents. All right, that's good. I'm like, well, how can I start helping more my demographic? So right now, I've already got all my bylaws and all that stuff, all the boring stuff for the nonprofit setup. So I'm setting up, kind of plans. And the 3 groups that I'm wanting to work right now, because you take on any more, it's too much. Is going to be, of course, a queer Masc group, just people who are either more Masc, presenting non-binary vibes, if again, it's just kind of open to anybody who, whenever you say the term Masc, that fits their life experience. You know what I mean? Even if it's somebody who's gender fluid, we want to have that experience. It needs to be, it's community, right? So we're going to start that. The second group, because I already have experience with it, is going to be a religious trauma oriented group. And I've got some cool handouts and lesson plans and stuff like that. And then 3, what really hits close to my heart, and you and I and Joseph, we've all talked about it. My story is going to be it's going to be a parents group, but specifically for single, divorced, widowed, estranged parents. Which, man, of all 3, it brings me to tears. Of all 3, I think that's the one that I mean, of course, all 3 need, like, they're super important, but that third one, there's such a huge deficit just in the field alone for that type of support. Like I was recently awarded primary custody of my kiddo, right? And my kiddo's been living full time with me for a while now, actually, and will be for a while. And that's in the state of Texas. So it really shows that things are changing, and that a good parent, a good Masc parent, sometimes is the preferable parent in a situation. I dare say the best parent in the situation, and is the more equipped parent, maybe even the more emotionally available parent. So, but there's like, within the legal system, oh my God, the shit that I have had to just crawl through. I mean, in the most dramatic way possible, because honestly, and I hate to poor me, but being a dude, and it's
true
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
and I hate that, but it really is the case. And it's funny because it's one of the few places that for the longest time, and it's Emily, my partner, even is like, wow, this is intense. This is like, now she was like, now you know what a woman feels like. I'm like, well, thanks. Kind of. I'm like, okay, kind of, at least in one situation in life. And So there needs to be support there. And these groups are going to be, of course, facilitated by me, yours truly. But I can't, I'm not leading it. It's more moderation, facilitation, and more or less, I'll be the bouncer, right? So it's things like conflict are going to be encouraged. Things like conflict resolution, again, it's going to be treated like a lesson plan. And I know I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry, but it's just kind of all rolling out.
No, you're good.
No,
I
it's
was
all
gonna
great
ask you all
stuff.
that anyway.
Yeah,
So
it's all great. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no, but what I want ultimately, my vision is those are my lanes, right? So, but it's community outreach. So what's community? It's not just a bunch of dudes, right? So, we got a bunch of dudes hanging out. That's great and all, but how do we then start extending those things? So let's say somebody who I start working with, is a dude who's a person of color, right? So then what we do is we get the big giant fucking manual that I sent y'all pictures of. This fucking thick. We start studying. Of course, anybody involved in the groups and anybody involved was always vetted. There's an onboarding process to where at least the person you're working with doesn't have things like child abuse stuff, things like that are just, we just, so people are vetted. It's great. And then when people start working, my vision is when people start working with the Hope and Anchor stuff, is that we get a person who's, let's say, a dude who's a person of color. And we've been part of group, and you notice he ends up leading that group a lot. Actually, he ends up taking leads and starts showing involvement. And once, or even somebody off street or somebody, one of our buddies, right? And I'm like, dude, okay, start a group, And what's good is that even though it's a nonprofit, those will be offered like paid positions to where, you and I and all of us have been in these positions where you've put, God, I have my hours logged from when I interned. Oh my God. So, and just, we're talking hours of production and group and all these things. So if somebody actually gets paid for their time, but yet the people who are, paying for group, instead of doing it 150, 200 bucks an hour for therapy sessions, paying 40 bucks, 30 bucks for an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the size of the group, do a monthly thing. Let's say you have 5 Tuesdays a month or something, do 150 bucks. There you go. You got less than one therapy session for 5 group sessions with homework, with the same packets you'll get and people to work with. So you get somebody who you trust and who trusts you, and we trust the process. They get paid for their time, and then they can benefit their community and help raise and help other people up and extend. And ultimately, then again, it's, why just dudes? Why don't we get women of color, trans people? I mean, but the thing that's super important to me is that why would I be working with femme people, women? Why would I be running a group, me leading a bunch of, African American dudes? Right. I mean,
right.
and then speaking for them. No, I mean, I can't. It's one thing if we're talking about dude issues, but if we're talking about dude issues plus being a person of color, all this color on me doesn't qualify, right? It does, and a lot of people pretend like it does for themselves. But so the biggest mistake, and I'd like to hear your opinion because I know I've been fucking rambling, is, and the thing that grosses me out the most is people thinking they can fucking speak for other people. It's one thing talking nerd knowledge, right? I'm a fucking nerd. The autism went like on the nerd. Like I'm listening to an MIT quantum mechanics intro course and a history of the Hebrew Bible from Yale to keep me busy before I start my graduate, just nerd shit. So yeah, we can talk about that in theory, but to actually work with people, in my opinion, my job is to organize and say, please just do it. Because like what am I going to lead a Hispanic women's group? I mean, come on, man. And then start talking. We can talk about it in theory, but like, I would rather the person who it represents be the person who deals with it. Right. And that's a huge deficit in the mental health field, is that you have a lot of people who come from a lot of privilege who've never had things like food insecurity, talking to people who are struggling to pay for 1 fucking hour of therapy once a month. I mean, how can you even understand what they're fucking saying? It's ridiculous. Sorry, please tell me I'm just going.
No, you got no. I agree with that completely because it's something I was recently talking to someone about, and I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, sure, you can have Dr. Ben talk about how hearing loss works, or you can have, I don't know, Joseph here talk about, I don't know, let's say like he's a technician that fixes hearing aids, right? Like
Yeah.
he can
Yeah.
talk about that, but neither of them can share the experience of somebody who actually lives with hearing
Mhm.
loss. That I can tell you that putting on my cochlear implant every morning is really overwhelming because it's like way too loud. So like I have to put music on stream music so that I don't hear all the background noise first, right?
Wow.
Like nobody will really know that
I
other
wouldn't know
than
that.
somebody who's experiencing
Yeah.
it. So it's like it's the same thing with women, with people of color, with immigrants, with queer, any kind of LGBTQ people. It's like you want to hear their lived experience. It's like a doctor can talk about the medical part of whatever.
Hmm.
I don't know. Let's say trans people's transitions, like how the hormones works and stuff. But like
Hmm.
they can't give you like the lived experience of that person uh, that they have. So you wanna hear it from that person. So I think for therapy, it's the same thing. Like if
Oh yeah.
you're a
Yeah.
woman of color, you don't wanna go to like a cis white guy therapist to if that's the issues that you're having, like your upbringing and your different experiences that systemic racism that you've experienced and all of that, because a white man wouldn't, like, they may understand the history and the context of it, but they haven't like necessarily lived that
Hmm.
experience.
Yeah, the
So
direct experience. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, plus, like, look, I'm the fucking most leftist, like, snowflake son of a bitch there is, and I swear, I mean, come on, most of my buddies are, I got so many close friends who are non-gender conforming. Yeah, it's all these things. All the guys I've trained with are dudes of color and people of color, and but like, I still find myself doing microaggressions. Right, I still find myself having in just it was a God, I can't think of the word. Not extrinsic. Is it intrinsic? I keep forgetting the word, but like little like what was like benevolent sexism stuff, like where you
Mm.
the opening the door stuff. Even though even though that's not bad, yeah, open the door for people, right? We're from Texas, so you just do that anyways. But there's almost like no, you always open door for a woman. It's like why? Like it's been not men, and there's always this weird benevolent thing, and it's oh I feel good because they're the weaker, and I need to be the protector. Like there's so many things implicit, exposed to explicit, implicit stuff that I get called out for, and I'm literally trying my best all the time to just be a kind, considerate person watching my language, and it's hard because I watch content creators that are being platformed a lot, you know, and like what was that? Can we name names on
Yeah, sure.
here?
I
Yeah.
So
mean,
that fucking piece of shit dude Armin, that guy's such a
oh
fucking
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
bitch.
yeah. I mean, he insulted me, so I'll mess
Oh,
her off.
he's a bitch. So I mean, I these dudes who fucking yap like this, I've been around that shit. After you've been in cage fights and get beaten up by somebody who like physically doesn't look tough, and it's just you just get used to yappy fucking dudes. What they got this like dude thing, but the thing is like when I first saw that dude getting platformed, a bit ago, whenever he was on these shows. uh it was problematic from the start. I'm like, what is this dude's approach? Why?
Mhm.
Oh my God. And then I'm watching, I've seen multiple, like you mentioned, a dude at the top. There's other dudes I don't really feel like mentioning because maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I don't think I am. And there's like just these little statements and these little things. And I'm just like, God, I know what you joked about growing up. I know, I know the bad things I've done, but I know the bad thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's these just like gaggy disgust response. Just you clearly don't have any like recognition of I don't know. And it's weird to me that these dudes keep getting platformed over and over and over. And every
Yeah,
time.
he did get kicked off some shows, but he still has the one on Atheist Republic is called. But I think that's his own show. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, that's what happens.
So yeah,
I don't understand this like gross like shift to being like such a fucking bootlicker. I don't get it. Like I thought
yeah, he was also transphobic. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
him making some comments in some of the after shows, which were like pretty problematic. Like things like, well, it's not transphobic to say that trans women are not women. I was like, yes, it
What?
is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, dude.
Your car's not a car.
Yeah.
What? You had a trans woman is not a woman. What was the word you just said after trans? Right? I mean, it's oh yeah. I see what David's saying about. Of course he's out. Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Whenever you're afraid and whenever you're weak, it's easier to hide in the group. I mean, it's ultimately, you have this like old outdated idea of group selection, and it's all about individual stuff. You hide in the group for your own individual fitness gains, and it's scarier to be exposed, right? Like here's my real name here. Right? It's people can see the bands I play and come to the tattoo shop. You can fucking find me, but I got no group. I got my friends, I got my family, but I don't have this big wall of just fucking just scared men to hide within, right? The few, the narrow path people, they stand out because there's not many of us, right? So you get some fucking dude like Armin, he's just hiding along with the rest of the dudes, like what's his name, old Hector Garcia. I mean, I don't, like whenever I heard him platformed years ago on the same shows, I'm like, oh, evolutionary psychologist. Oh, this is going to be great. I can't wait till this guy just goes full like fucking manosphere, misogynist rants. And of course, there he is. Of course, here he is doing it. So, like, I think the thing that's important, especially in our realm, and I've said this, and I said this recently in some discussions that you and I've had with other people. These people are talking about things like psychology and sociology and social stuff, social work, social this, that, and the other. But where are the credentials, right? Like, where's your education in these things? Somebody like Forrest, that motherfucker's educated like shit. I love talking to that dude. That whenever I saw him in Austin recently, bro down with that dude hard. Love talking to that dude. But
Oh, but he will admit, he'll be like, I don't really know anything about psychology. I know about
he's not going to talk about
Yeah.
psychology. He'll
If it's
talk
out of
about
his realm.
neuroscience. He'll
Yeah.
talk about nerd like mechanics, but talking
Yeah.
about behaviorism, of course, he's going to have a little bit of this and there, because when you talk about things like damage to a body, people are going to behave in a certain way. But that's not his like nerd shit. His nerd shit is blood and guts, right? We talked about dissections the last time we hung the whole night, like weirdos. So because we've both been in a lot of surgeries and labs like that. So that's different. But at least a guy like that isn't going to start talking. And I've heard him say that, I don't know. But the problem is he at least has an understanding. He's had to take classes. He's had to understand those things. Those are prerequisites. But then you have other people like, who's this motherfucker? Like I remember one time I was on a production with a dude, and man, AJ, was that with you? I don't know. It was
Maybe.
yeah, and I just started like laying into the guy, and it made me really mad because he made comments like, "Oh, I just don't know how somebody could feel that way." Well, we were talking about the pride flag being the city flag in Idaho and somewhere else, and I don't think that's not a big victory. I don't even understand why that's a big deal. And I'm just like, I just started going off, man. And it's recorded. Somebody can find it. But then afterwards, I was just like, dude, this motherfucker, like, yeah, sure, he's a nice guy, but like, this is a show that used to like have people who are educated and vetted. And like, that's the thing that attracted me to the activism circles, was that like, okay, here's this one chick, she's got her degree in psychology. Here's this other dude, he's a therapist. Here's this other person, they've got their PhD. I'm thinking of specific names. And this specific field and this specific field, and then this person is an activist in this, and this person is a what's her name, Sage Sin is a professional pornography person who advocates for this and is really big on, it's like we have all these different people who are vetted in their fields, but now we're having like a platforming of just dudes saying things, and you're seeing it across the board. People like that Charlie Kirk guy. It's just some fucking dude saying things, So if our demographic that we're trying to reach is 25 to 55-year-old white cis males, then have that motherfucking demographic, because what I want is the people who are actually getting marginalized, That's what I want, and that's who I want to fucking organize shit for. Like, we've been playing in punk rock bands forever and fucking yelling about this shit forever. My bands play a lot. My buddies, the band I'm in bands with, also play a lot, and we all protest shit. We've been singing about this shit for years on stage. So we're gonna do it either way, but there needs to be more than just yelling about it. There needs to be the deficit is community. There is no community. There's
Yeah.
community, but there's no fucking community, and I that's what I'm trying to do, and that's just what's gonna happen. My eventual goal is to have a facility, kind of like the Montrose Center out here in Houston, but that provides different things, not just for the queer population. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
going. Tell me to
No,
shut up.
I was gonna ask you, like, you just mentioned that it's gonna be, that you would like to have a location. So to start, is it gonna be online or what? How are you gonna? Okay,
Well,
awesome.
so yeah, it's going to be a mix. So I want to
Uh,
do so. There's going to be the in-school stuff that we've already started. We got the program going. I want to do online stuff so that way people from all over can be involved. At least right now, for me, dudes and folks involved, Masc folks all over can be involved. Currently, group model right now, you want between about 4 to 8 people per group. 8 is a good number because you start getting some relationships and some conflict and some ebb and it's great. It's great. It needs to happen. It's just, we got to wait for it because people are going to start noticing things that remind them of other things, and it's going to be good. But once because is going to be, once there shows to be a need for other branch out, that's when I'm eventually to start pulling other people in. That said, I would like to start a local Houston surrounding area weekly thing. Again, it's going to be group led. The structure is going to be like a much more organized AA, NA type thing. When it comes to the trauma stuff, I already have some really good lessons for that and homework for trauma. For like, I'm already ready for that. The other stuff I'm prepping for, and I know what I want to do, but the trauma stuff is something that I've already done. So, but so I'd like to do, if I did anything in person, it would be a trauma support group,
Yeah.
spiritual/religious recovery. I think that's, I just think because a lot of the trauma is related to group trauma, because the parent stuff. Yeah, exactly. So the parent stuff is great. You can do that online. That's great. We can all talk, and because you're probably busy as fuck if you're a single dad, any single parent, and then with the queer shit, like, again, that's more queer. That's not just trauma related, right? That's more queer support. There, of course, can be trauma. Fucking queer people are traumatized all the time. But that's good. That would probably be that's probably going to be more fun, interactive, probably a lot of arguing, But as far as the religious stuff, of course, I'll do one online, but I'd really like to do one in person. There's a couple different facilities and places I'm talking to right now that are really cool backdrops for this. I think it'd be, a lot of fun to meet in our tattoo shop. At least just a good environment. So I'm talking to different people, weighing different stuff out. But yeah, that's by the end of the year. Like I said, by the end of the year, I already have the school thing going. And once I have my paperwork submitted, we can still start with the groups, but then the nonprofit status, that's just all the boring shit. But that way I can start getting other people involved once the nonprofit status hits, and then we can start sponsoring events. And like, we're doing a benefit right now for a buddy of ours who sings in a band called Sick of It All, a guy named Lou. He's got throat cancer, and we're setting up a benefit right now in early December at our friend's club. A bunch of bands are playing for free, and we're donating the money. So those are the type of things that I want to organize. Benefits for people, have people donate their time. If they donate their time, we can do, I'll have the information. I can do tax write-off shit for people. Like, I just want to be able to do what I'm already doing, but help elevate other people who are doing those things and act as an umbrella. And then we can all come together and talk about these things. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's just my vision. Maybe I'm a fucking pipe dream, but I really know enough people who are already doing this shit on their own that if I can just be like, let me hug you and just come on. Come. I know I like
That's
you. I like you. You
It
want me to do
just
anything? I'm not doing anything. I've got my groups. Fuck off. Y'all do your shit. Just don't fuck up.
it
There
well,
you
just
go.
because
takes
like
motivation.
Yeah.
yeah, we do this online a lot, right? Like we meet and do these shows and have phone calls and stuff like that. But like doing it in person is so different. Like when we met at I don't know a dance wedding or like the bad
Hmm.
cruise or whatever, it's like that in person, being able to give people hugs and
Hmm.
talk face to face is like a whole
It's that
different
connection. Yeah, the
healing.
connection,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it adds
personal
a
connection.
layer to the healing of trauma
Oh
and all
yeah,
that.
dude.
Yeah.
Like I'd say if I learned anything from like doing all the cage fighting stuff that I've done for so long and playing in like punk and hardcore bands. I mean, think about it. Hardcore punk shows, people are jumping all over each other. It's like a pack of dogs roughhousing, right? I love that shit. That's so much fun. And like there's a community, the touching. Like I love tattooing. You're touching, you're there. You're just on somebody. And then the same thing goes with the fight game. I mean, there's no way to fight without touching somebody, right? But there's such a bond that if you end up respecting your sparring partner, your opponent, there's a bond that you can't even. It's so deep, and there's because there's such a respect. So I agree that there's such a need for people to be in each other's space, sharing air, eating the same stale fucking donuts and coffee, and just sitting there and hanging out, and then like, but because what you're trying to do is start building relationships and then I keep going back to conflict because what we have to do is we have to be able to know how to have conflict with each other in a healthy and productive way. Because think about it, the people you love the most a lot of times are the people that have you fucking yelled at and gone at it with. And I play in bands with guys we've punched each other in the face out of anger, not even just training. Like years ago, we beat each other up, because we were young and stupid. And I love those dudes. Like one of my buddies wrote a recommendation. Both of my buddies who wrote recommendation letters for me, I fucking like it's just how it goes. And I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying that's how we are because we're just Neanderthals, I guess. But there's that whatever conflict, whatever is a healthy conflict in your people and your things, and that needs to happen. And we need to have conflict, and it needs to be worked through, and it needs to be facilitated by someone like me who's just a big brute who loves it, who loves conflict. I'm like, yes, let's fucking do this, right? And then there's methods of sitting down and having people just sit there and just fucking gripe at each other and go at, and that needs to happen, right? And they need to be like, I don't appreciate what you said. I thank you for telling me that, and so
Yeah, sometimes
that's
you got to let it out. If you hold it in, that's a problem too. For
oh
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
but a healthy letting out, not like catharsis is really not the best thing. Like there needs to be a letting it out that's also sometimes monitored because especially with men, we're just allowed to be uh, a little different in a tactile response. Oh, Mark, I'm also autistic, so I understand. Uh,
Yeah, I agree with that though. Sometimes I don't like I can't even handle having like
mhm.
hair touch my arms. It's just like no.
Yeah, but like what's really important. Oh no, I get it. But like what's okay, so my kid's diagnosed, I'm diagnosed.
Oh yeah.
What's really important is being in situations that make you uncomfortable and understanding that you're not panicking. So in my case, I mean, AJ's seen me. I at the back cruise, I'm just kind of, hey, I just kind of find a corner. I'm hey,
Yeah.
and then I'll leave before I won't tell anybody. I'm just beep, bye, or whatever. I just bye. I'm gone.
I
I
know
just
you always disappear without giving me a hug.
yeah. I see. So no, I get it. So I
Where'd
Great.
force
Jason go? Oh,
no.
I think he left.
Again, the autism peaked, and I'm like, I can't do this
Yeah.
anymore. And I completely understand. But for me, that's super important that I force myself to do those things. I force myself to give somebody a hug who I know is a non-threatening person. It's hard. I'm like, but it happens. So I understand that struggle. So hopefully within the group, whenever you do your intake stuff, whenever you do all your things, you'll feel comfortable sharing, hey, I'm diagnosed autistic, ADHD. These are some things I struggle with because in that paperwork, it's like, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? And then especially for like trauma recovery work, you utilize like different cognitive processing techniques that are really interesting. And like for us, we love skepticism. Well, it's the skepticism aimed inwards. Like you start to detach yourself from yourself and as an autistic person, it becomes a lot of fun because because it's all list oriented, and I'm like, ooh, I can quantify myself into a list, which is sobering, but also pretty, that's how it is. So it's fun because you can utilize these things and you apply emotion, and you just skeptically evaluate your own outlook and your own schema. And it's really cool. And then you can share and work with it and see progress. And it's a really good real-time tool. Like it's like cognitive processing exercises and restructuring, and especially doing it in a group, you share it, and that's where the vulnerability comes in, and you realize how much you actually care about what other people think, and then you start realizing how important it is that you have community and that somebody does validate you. Because we're like, oh, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Well, you're saying that because you gave too many fucks and everybody burned you out from caring. So I mean, it's just another fear response. You're just afraid you can get your feelings hurt again. So
Yeah.
let's get your feelings hurt again and see what it's like. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Exactly. So, yeah. Do you have a question?
well, I was gonna say I like that because I have a hard time, finding groups of people to interact with as well. I
Mhm.
just have a hard time, and I think something like that is a positive thing to be able to push people to their to things that make them uncomfortable, to make them get
Mhm.
in a group environment and talk and get feedback and interaction with real life individuals. I think that definitely does help.
No, I agree. And I think it's also, to me, it's a lot like, for me, something like this again is a lot like cage fighting, or very similar, because you have your rules. You're allowed to go so far, but you also have you have that third guy in there, that ref, that third person in there. So in a situation like this, so let's say we're doing conflict stuff, role play, whatever, we're doing whatever dynamics that we're working on that week. Somebody shared something. Hey, I don't appreciate what you said or your behavior. Or, hey, I have a problem with what you said. Things like that. It's somebody like myself. I understand my role there. Again, like I said earlier, is I'm the bouncer. I'm like, all right, there's enough. I have no problem being the loudest one, the one that you can get mad at. Right. I think in a situation like that, my role is more, I'll be the walking target. I can be the one. I can blame me for being the one telling you to be quiet now. Right. Blame me for the one bringing this. It's cool. We can do that. I'm strong enough to deal with that. But I'm also, there needs to be like somebody who's strong enough to be like, hey, like your sharing time was, like Emily kind of shared some of these. What we were talking about. It was really interesting. And there was one thing that I was looking into, and it's like, um, so you have a certain amount of time, let's say 3 minutes to share something. And then let's say Bill decides that every time he wants to share is 4 or 5 minutes, and Bill's like, hey man, this is super important that I share this. And like, well, Bill, it's super important that you follow the 3-minute rule. I don't know why is your thing more important than Joe's thing, right? Can you state the case? Them's the breaks. And a lot of dudes aren't told like, hey man, no, like you're not, and
Yeah,
that right there is huge.
that's a good point, because they might also see it as you trying to be the alpha male. But
Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
when you're doing therapy, they have to understand that this isn't about who is above who.
No.
Like everybody's trying to share equally, and yeah, so that's why you have those rules.
Well, yeah, of course. And the thing is, like, all we can interact off of is our past experience. And like, especially with trauma, you're always reliving and then like assigning, like, oh, you're like that person. You're like that person. This is just like that. This is just like that. This is, so you're hoping for like those things to kind of show up, because like with therapist stuff, you have like transference and countertransference. Like you have a therapist that starts treating their client like they're their kid who behaves the same way, right? And then vice versa. They're like, oh, they start talking to them like they're your mom. Like you expect those things to happen. And it's like once those things start happening, it's almost like, oh, this is now people are comfortable enough to start being themselves. So it's important consistency and interaction and accountability and a little bit of harassment on my part, maybe, and just like it's like Stanley Kubrick talking about making The Shining. Like Shelley Duvall was supposed to look tired and worn out, so you know what he did? He'd call her like 10 times a night to just wear her out. You know what I'm
So
saying?
that
And she
she
said it
will
was
be.
miserable. Yeah, so she would be worn out. But the thing is, yeah, that's look at Shining is one of the best movies ever fucking made, at least in my opinion. It's gorgeous, amazing film because it's so visceral,
Yeah.
and
I
so
just
just
watched it yesterday,
oh, I
actually the day
love it.
before. So
Amazing. So it's that composer, she was a trans woman, and she was one of the main composers for a lot of those big scores, and nobody knows that.
really, I was
Oh
not
yeah,
aware of that.
yeah. There you go.
Mhm.
And no, I've got I had her
That's
name. I was
awesome.
thinking about her today. But look, again, I digress. I think it's important to start because that's when you start. You can, it's like you're saying, you can talk about it in theory. I have trauma. I'm a guy. I can compartmentalize. Oh yeah, but it's good. But then I do that, and then oh, I'm good, man. Oh yeah, this motherfucker in traffic made me angry, and my kid doesn't appreciate me. Cool, that's great. Second session, oh hey man, how's it going? Oh man, I don't know. I was pretty bummed out of work today. But whatever, fuck that shit. I can get. And then it starts, and then after a while, hey Joe, yeah, hey man, it was fucked up. What and then you start having those family dynamics. That's when the reality hits, and that's when you're making actual progress, and that's when you realize, like you have a community you're building at that time, that you're sowing into and facilitating yourself because it's going to be it's you get what you put out, you get out what you put into it type of thing. No one's be sitting there holding your hand saying, this is what you need to do. And this is how you need to do it. And it's like, I mean, you can fucking show up and just sit here. That's your money, bro. It's your hard earned money. You waste your money, sit here and not get some shit done. Cool. Fine. What the fuck do
Yeah.
I care?
So Colin made a good point. He said, I argue that the main reason men like sports is that they get to hug and cry and be emotionally and physically close to others who support the same teams.
I think it's really fucked up that we have to punch each other in the face a million times to be able to hug each other at the end. And I know I agree. It's actually one of the things I love most about it, is that sadly, like in the fight game, a lot of it has been corrupted by politics at this point, and capitalism, just like everything, so that camaraderie, there's so much competition within it
Oh, yeah.
that it's just, and then social media and everybody being a rock star and everybody, it's, I don't know. It's just like, I got my buddy David, I'm start training with a lot. He's he coached for a lot of the UFC fighters and stuff like that. And he, Latin dude. And he recently spoke out against, Trump, because Trump gets flown out to all those UFC fights. He and Dana are fucking buddies and blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
And I mean, David knows, he knows all those dudes, and he's just like, man, it's fucked up that you guys support this shit. It's like he's a person of color. A good amount of the dudes we train with are people of color, but they're just like, oh, Trump, Uncle Trump, Trump, and it's just, it's heartbreaking. But so he did this, said some stuff, and the dude lost a ton of friends. He's been part of the game for fucking forever, over 20 years, pro fighter, million pro fights, coached a million people, and just been around the world doing it. And I've started working with him some, and it's I mean, again, it's capitalism, so you can only be so good or virtuous or moral, and it's a fight game, so you're fighting for a bunch of fucking other people to line their pockets. But I don't know, isn't everything that we're doing for work that way, right? I don't know. So I think it's just sad that, like, you have to have a political affiliation in order to have community to, like, fight in a cage for people to help you out. And I think it's disgusting and is a real, it just ruins things that are fun and pure.
Yeah,
It does,
politics
yeah.
politics seep into everything for sure. I mean, it's everywhere. You can't really get away from it. I mean, you could try not to talk about it or try not to bring up political views or how you feel about something in the political sphere, but when it really does change the way you see somebody when you do find out some of their political sides.
No, it does. It really does. And I try really hard. Like, I've got some buddies who are conservative, and I definitely get.
Oh, that's a
I'm
good
sorry.
comment right there.
Oh, I did 4 tours in Afghanistan and then came home. Jesus. Yeah, same MMA. I was part of a street thing when I was young, and then I was also I was assaulted physically by some people for years. I was getting targeted and jumped, and then prior to that, I'd been sexually assaulted. And MMA is the thing that literally gave me the recognition that if I decide to do something, I was afunctional at that point. You know, this is my early 20s. I was completely I just couldn't do. So my buddy's like, you like getting in fist fights? I'm like, yeah. It's like, just go join an MMA gym. And when I did, it just helped me work through so much, you know. And so yeah, I agree with that. Sorry, I got sidetracked thinking about that. That's terrible, losing your kid.
Yeah. Do you think that if you had, if you had been able to seek therapy during that time, where all that trauma happened when in your early 20s, that it would have changed, um, I don't know, your outcome, I guess?
I don't.
Do you feel like you needed it at the time, or was the
I think
MMA
everybody
enough
needs it.
to?
I think everybody. No, no, of course not, because I still made a bunch of stupid fucking decisions. Right. I just wasn't doing drugs anymore. You know, I wasn't drinking every night. But I still ended up, getting into relationships with people who were highly destructive humans and like legitimate, like again, a legit narcissist and stuff like that, and people who used me and screwed me over in business. No, I needed to go to therapy to learn how to like not be fucked over by those people. You know, it's like, yeah, you got a traumatized neurodivergent dude who has a lot of codependent tendencies, right? And I mean, of course, codependents get targeted by narcissists. That's what
Yeah.
narcissists and borderlines target. They can't help themselves. It's like candy. Because somebody who's codependent just loves to be idealized because nobody's ever treated them well, right? Generally, you have a
Yeah.
codependent person who has a fucking god awful family life like I had, and just mom was a bad person. I'm estranged from my dad, and God's not allowed around my family, So it's yeah, of course, that's the people who found me, right? So I think it's really important to build community so that way you can see what community really looks like. And I don't know, maybe I mean I have people that like I'm really close with, and especially in the music scene, like here in Houston, like I got people I'm really close with and been playing music with for years, and people like my buddy Steven who look out for me and is one of my best friends in the whole world, and just really good folks. But I want more. I want to have like an actual community that actually looks out for each other and
For each
makes
other, yeah.
changes and does things like, all right, let's make a plan. Let's do a bunch of political stuff. Let's all get degrees in this area and take over, I don't know, the legal stuff in Houston, or, let's really do some change. Let's support each other and do growing co-ops. And like, I don't know, like there needs to be like a ball that needs to start fucking rolling, because like I feel alone way too often, and it's not good, because I know these fucking people in these churches, they help each other out, but they're also legislate against our rights. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to help build like a common narrative. That's
Yeah, like a
I don't know. I
secular
don't know.
community, which I feel like the secular community, it sucks because it's so, not the community itself sucks. I'm sorry, that I should say the way it's kind of set up,
Mhm.
because you have all of these places all over the place. So you have, stuff in Austin, in Houston, in San Antonio, in Dallas, but like it's not even statewide connected, and
No.
it should be more interconnected.
Well, and if we've learned anything, a lot of people value their station, right,
Mm.
more than integrity, I think, right, and that's a huge problem. And I don't want a virtue signal, because like I said, I drive a truck and work in oil and gas, and but also at the same time, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. So whatever. Maybe I give myself a break, but in that, like, I don't want to do that forever. That's a means to an end. And if you get enough people who unite, you don't have to do that forever. right? Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure it's a pipe dream, but at some point, I'd like to instigate enough um, spark to initiate some real fucking change because I really fucking hate everything right now. I can't even begin to explain. It's so
Uh,
economically
And
insecure.
yeah,
I know of thousands of layoffs coming in the horizon from people I specifically been speaking to in the past couple of days. Like, if we think it's fucked right now, it's this is the spark. I mean, the
yeah,
layoffs, the depression era stuff that's going to start happening is going to be almost too much to bear, especially with things like fucking us over on unemployment, no federal unemployment, fucking us over on insurance costs.
yeah.
And then
Pre
wages are dramatically, dude, wages are going down in a lot of industries right now because there's such high competition that they can drive it down. I'm seeing jobs right now that would normally get 36 to 42 going for 28 to 32. Um, so it's not good.
it's not.
yeah,
And I
that's a
mean,
lot.
if you start thinking about it, like, um, what we mentioned earlier, that umbrella sort of
Hmm.
authority that exists, and if you look at the people at the top, it's filled with cis white men,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, all over the government, all over the leadership, and even in churches. Even in churches, the majority of churches are yeah. You do have the specific churches that are more for Hispanic people or for people of color stuff. But the majority of the major, if you think Houston's Joel Austin type churches, right,
Hmm.
it's like mostly white people, and I think that's where what the topic that we started with comes in really handy, because that's where we have to deconstruct all of this toxic masculinity,
Hmm.
where men think that they have to be in control of all the things and all the government and all the laws and all the rules, and women's bodies and queer people's bodies, and immigrants'
Hmm.
rights, and not give them due process and all of that. So they're making therapy, normalizing therapy for men is so important in our society today, because you see all of these really damaging messagings that society generally gives to men, and obviously we all see it tracking back to religion, but without going there, what do you think are like some of the most harmful that we could start? Where do we even start breaking down these toxic messages that society ingrains in men?
Oh my God.
I know it's a hard question. There's
I
just so
mean,
many.
the only place you can start is in childhood, honestly, because so many of the behaviors uh, that you do now are before your prefrontal cortex develops. You know, they're related to the first 3 to 5 years. They're related to the stress that your mom dealt with while you were in the womb and her protein intake and all those things. So it
Yeah, before memories even start to set,
yeah,
like our
before
brain is
identity.
already, yeah.
Yeah, so I think ultimately it has to start in. I mean, I used to hear people say this all the time. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, we have to like cherish critical analysis, and we have to cherish dialectics, and we have to cherish uh, doubt and things like and disbelief. Like, these are things we have to cherish. I was driving today, and there's this fucking stupid automotive place called Christian Brothers, and it's actually Christian Brothers.
I've seen it.
And they're so fucking expensive. Of course, they price gouge. It's just how it is. But they virtue signal. And I was driving in traffic on my way to take my kiddo to a doctor's appointment. You know, empirical science that you observe. And the billboard said, "Walk by faith and not by sight." And to me, that like fucking stood out to me more than anything had in a long time. And I'm like, there's a problem with the world right there, is that you are conditioned to trust the things that you know are fucking bullshit. That I remember our church being like, if it seems true, they're talking about things like science and evolution If it seems true, it's because Satan is the father of lies, and of course he's the greatest liar. So he's going to know how to make something, that's the mind fuck. And I remember that when I was like 10, 11 years old. I'll be 44 in a couple weeks. I mean, it's fucking insane. But there's still grown ass motherfuckers who vote.
Oh,
And
yeah, I guess our birthdays are close to each other. Mine's
yeah,
coming out too.
yeah, I was born on Halloween.
Oh, okay. Mine's
Nice.
the first week of November. So
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
nice.
And yeah, it's funny I say that, people are like, oh, that explains everything. But but yeah, I think that's that thing that I saw was so disheartening, because you have people driving cars. You're going to somewhere for somebody to do like applicational science and like real, like with things like combustion and computer chips, and they're fucking talking about faith, not by what? Like what the fuck? I'm convinced it's like a grift. It's like a heuristic. It doesn't even mean what it means. Yeah.
That comment, I would have immediately thought people who don't look where they are walking step in shit.
No,
And facts.
but here's the problem: is they step in shit and they don't pay attention to it. Then they track it through your
They
fucking
drag
house,
it everywhere.
and then
yeah.
they turn around and be
That's
like,
the
"You're
worst.
dirty, and your house is covered in shit." And I'm like, "You're the one who fucking drug it in." And they're like, "Yeah, because I stepped in it because
They're
it was
like,
in your
well, I
house."
don't see it.
What are you talking about? We'll just look down. Be like, I don't have to look down. I just know by faith, But and what I can see is this, and I have faith that it was already in there. And then they just drag it through, and then get your kids removed because they're the ones who drug shit through your fucking house. And this is just the world we live in. That's what's happening to the illegal arena right now. That's what media is doing. It's a fucking it's a campaign, and it's like a heuristic verbiage campaign that's fucking pumped at like a nauseating rate that is infectious to the highest degree, because these people bow down to an authoritarian religious structure, and they bow down to this authoritarian fucking political structure. And what studies have shown, like legit, is that that's what makes religion evil. I don't even like the word religion anymore. If people have a spiritual belief system and it's non-authoritarian, I have no issues with it. I don't care about it. I might even be cool, and you can learn a lot from it, like mindfulness meditation and Taoist principles. I love that shit. Shit's great. But it doesn't, whatever. You can do with it what you want. And there's empiricism and really good metrics built for some people who do mindfulness meditation. Like I said, some people. That said, you can't convince me of this like bastardized version of a fake Jewish carpenter, which actually turned out to be a weird Greek version of a Jewish guy. And I mean, it's just all these fake fucking things thrown around. And they convince me that this is more important than like combustion working properly on my fucking car. And then you're just going to remove rights and attack my fucking kid and target me, call me a groomer. I mean, go fuck yourself. It's crazy, but this is the world we live in. And it's so disparaging that like, what else are we going to do? So we can sit around and bitch about it and hide and have it get worse, or you can just try to do something like be nice to people and help them.
Yeah, but they want you to
Dude.
be this disparate about it and not want it, to feel like you can't do anything about it. They want you to feel that way. I mean, that's why they hit you so much with it's over and over and over and constant and like so much at one time that makes you feel like you can't change it. But in truth, we can.
I do agree with that, but I also think there's another insidious thing that they do that narcissistic abuse dynamic does, is they push you to the point of anger and frustration. You're so broken down that you freak out. And then they're like, see, that's what I was talking about right there. That's who you are. But what nobody sees is the fucking miles of fucking turds they've drugged through your shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To get to the point that you're like, I'm sick of you dragging shit through my fucking house.
Yeah, to make you lash out, basically, and then they can say that you're.
Mm-hmm.
Then they say that you're the crazy, violent motherfucker because you're lashing out, but
or
they don't.
You're the emotional one. You're the one causing problems because you really wanted this. This is typical for people like you. Oh, you just wanted this, so you cause these problems. And then when they get called out, they fucking hide and pretend like they can't handle it. And then just let it all go away, because that's what you're taught to do. Just close your eyes, put your fingers in your ears, and pretend like it doesn't fucking exist while people are left in the fucking wake.
Yeah, that's very true. There was this video that Forrest Valkai just did a couple of
Mhm.
days ago, where he was talking about learned helplessness,
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
you heard that one. It was so good,
Oh no, we
and
know about. We
he.
talk about that in our family. But please share.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, like he was basically talking about the current, political environment and how they're piling up all of these things on already marginalized people, on people who are already barely scraping by to, having to sell stuff to buy food or not being able to afford healthcare. And it's like they make you not want to continue trying,
Hmm.
so like you learn to be helpless, and when
Hmm.
you're given another option to try, you don't even want to, because you're like, it hasn't been working, it hasn't done anything.
Yeah, that's
Like
operate. That's
all of these,
conditioning.
Yeah,
yeah, like
That's
all
conditioning.
a.
of
Oh.
these
Oh god.
marches and things and speaking up on social media, like it's not making any changes, and we're like all feeling helpless. And he was like, don't fall for it, keep doing it, keep fighting, because that's what they want you to do.
Well, yeah, because they do things like. There's a term we've been throwing around in our family called weaponized confusion. All
Mm,
right. Oh,
I like that.
I didn't realize it. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. How could you ever think that? I was just asking questions. Listen to this fucking rhetoric that we have nowadays. It's weaponized confusion. That's the narcissistic dynamic, because what it does, it stokes us as a codependent or as somebody who's empathetic or somebody who actually gives a fuck. Right? We're like, oh, let me explain it to you. Like some fucking autistic dude like me, I'm like, oh, let me explain it to you. I'll break it down. But that's just a way to keep distracting from the reality. Like I saw this happen recently in some bullshit. Oh, we didn't oh, we thought it was, oh, we just thought it was this. But then they split, they triangulate. You get one group over here, then you get another group over here. And then and then you get these fucking flying monkeys, like in the Wicked Witch of the West, of little people planting little seeds of bullshit. And it'll beep, 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 beep. Oh, look, and
Yeah.
that's triangulation. And then he said, she said. And they're like, oh, and there's all this confusion, and you can never fucking figure out what's real or what's not. And the way I see it, if there's confusion in a fucking situation, then I'm fucking out, because there's no clarity. And if there's no clarity, shit's pretty fucking easy to see. If there's no clarity, then I don't want anything to do with it, because somebody's doing that on purpose. You know, you can only ask so many fucking questions, do the same fucking thing over and over. If there's no clarity, fuck you, peace out. You know, I'm done.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it is. So let me go back, because I wanted to touch again on the topic of parenting
Oh
and,
yeah.
and toxic masculinity, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like we mentioned earlier, the brain development that happens in childhood, um, and very often during that time, is ingrained in boys' minds that boys don't cry,
Mm-hmm.
don't get too emotional, right?
Yeah.
If they cry, get toughen up. But this is the time where the neural pathways develop to where in adulthood that's going to help you respond, or certain things are going to trigger back that memory of what you were told. Women get the opposite, right? Like the harmful advice, things like, I guess what you call toxic femininity, if you will. Like, I don't know, we're told that girls don't do this or they don't do that, or you have to have long hair. Like for myself, my mom was very had that sort of mentality to where girls have to be feminine, and she didn't want me to cut my hair. She hated it when I wore like baggy pants, anything that was seen as any type of tomboyish, which I
Mm-hmm.
loved.
Yeah, of
She was
course.
like, yeah, it's like she didn't like that. I love her. She's good. She's come a long way from
Yeah,
those
no, that's
days.
great.
I mean,
That's
so
huge.
so we're good. But like growing up, I felt that way, and so I felt like when I did get into religion, I felt forced to live that feminine figure that was
Mm-hmm.
expected by society. And things like you gotta learn how to cook, because then you gotta be a better wife and a better mother, instead of teaching both to work together as a team.
Yeah.
Joseph is like if I don't do the dishes, he'll go and do the dishes. He won't even ask about it.
Oh
Like
yeah.
whatever. Like it's not. I don't even have to ask him to do anything. Like it just happens. Like we're both. Even though I don't work outside the home, he'll still come home and do the things. And so like that's not really taught generally to
No.
men and women. Like it's kept separate. Like when you marry, like each one has their
Their
job
role,
as the
yeah,
man,
Yeah.
woman, right? So like, how can we even start to break that down, like without men feeling like they're weak or like they're emasculated or like they have a higher paying job or things like that. Like,
I think
what
with
does society even?
I think right now, if I'm going to not go on too much of a tangent, I think right now one of the best tools for that is media in general. Um,
Hmm.
we model stuff. Well, I mean, you have like with the social learning theory, you have like modeling behaviors, but then you also have things like extended adolescence, to where we're seeing adolescence extend in some cases into the late 20s at this point. Um, so we have to, like to me, humans are like, no one's really that unique. Like we are, but we're not, right? It's the things that make us unique are more behavioral, fun little things, but like our genetics, our brain, it's super fucking similar. So our shit reacts to shit the same way. So if somebody's experienced this and experienced a lot of neglect, we're going to see very similar structural changes to the CNS and behavioral changes that represent the structural changes and yada yada. So I mean, you'll have individual differences, which are super interesting, but the thing is, you can generally do a little bit of psychology math and kind of go back to see like, okay, what are these consistent issues that we have? And like you said, the crying thing is actually huge. You know, probably cried twice today. No, I mean it's I laugh, but like, you know, we've been struggling with some stuff lately. There's been some tough things going on, and you know, it's just it's been hard, you know, so you cry. It's just what happens. And me being like viewed as weak, like I think what's weak is somebody, you know, pretending to be something that, like to impress other dudes, like, you know, like, oh, what's so funny is that if you really look at it, like so much of what these men do is for the male gaze, right? It's for like other men's approval, right? And
I hadn't thought about that. You
oh,
with a good point.
oh my God, dudes just performing for each other all the time. Dudes performing for dudes. And it's all these straight dudes, but like, you know, I don't know how straight it is that you're just up there modeling for other men all the time, which I'm happy with, you know, like it, but you know, at the same time, like it's just so funny. There's such a dissonance involved. So I think like what we're going to talk about with, you know, the middle schoolers, because they're kind of at the developmental stage, is like, you know, what makes you angry, but like also, are you okay showing it to other people? Like, would you show other people that you are angry or upset?
Mhm.
Does the anger, why are you only allowed to be angry? Why aren't you allowed to be sad? Why aren't you allowed to show sadness? Why, you know, and to me, that's tragic. And that builds like a fucking madness in somebody. There's a really good book called The Velvet Rage that was written for gay men, but honestly, you could put in the word bi men, or you could put in the word trans person or queer person or whatever. As an Alan Cook, Dr. Alan Cook, I think is who wrote it. The Velvet Rage, amazing book. And one of the big things that really stood out to me was that, and this is talking about the masculinity thing, is that as a queer man, what I did for years was put on a mask. Also, being autistic, you mask a lot. So I put on a mask or whatever. And I started behaving in ways that I thought were going to hide my queerness from other people. And the funny thing is of course I overcompensated and I'd get called out for it all the time. But still, for me, it seemed a lot safer than me just being me. And I bought into that lie for such a long time that even after like all the religious shit had faded away forever, you know, that I still held on to that deep rooted fear of like being labeled a queer dude, like because I viewed it as fucking weak and feminine or something. And to me, I'm just like, why is that bad? Why would I not want feminine qualities? Of course, I don't want somebody chicks like do better at everything and are more efficient and more humble. Just every study just shows how women just do better at everything. Yeah, I'd like to be more like a woman. That'd be great, you know. And it's the more I start recognizing those things about myself, like, how do I say this without being, I'm not gonna go down that road, but there's certain things that women typically endure that straight men don't endure, and that straight men would view themselves in that situation as being weak and whatever, that in all actuality takes a lot more strength to endure than it's really interesting that when you start investigating who you really are as a human and your preconceived assumptions and your fears about those things, that you really realize just how fucking twisted it really is in your brain. And that I'm really just like living my life for some other fucking stupid fuck's opinion. And somebody that I'm smarter than, I fuck better than, I fight better than, I jam harder than, I'm a better parent than, I'm cooler than. Like, why the fuck do I care what this person says? I like, yeah, I just, you know, I don't know. I don't know. So I think the more we're going to really challenge these notions of these kiddos, and just in general, like really challenging the notion of like, actually, like, you can't avoid caring about what people think because we're social.
Yeah.
But we have to recognize that whose opinion should we care about, right? Whose opinion should matter to us? And if somebody's opinion matters to us and we recognize that it shouldn't, why does it fucking matter to us? What brought us to the point to where this person who you wouldn't even give $1 to if they were starving, their opinion matters to you? Well, you think about it. In a lot of cases, it's fear driven because of the impact, because of the results of that opinion, because of the social consequences, financial, you know? So again, I just circle back around. I think all that toxic masculinity is just rooted in being fucking insecure and weak and scared and, you know, hiding in a group because of because of the world around us and the offers, you know, what's being offered up, you know?
Yeah,
But I
this
think
makes me think what oh, I'm sorry, like this made me think of why straight men can be so like conservative straight men are so focused on trans women.
Dude, because
And it's
that's what they're
because
looking up on porn sites. I mean,
why? It's because they like it, they
fuck
enjoy
yeah,
it,
dude. Women are
but
awesome. I love women. They're great.
they're
Yeah.
right, but they're performing for the other men because
Uh-huh.
they think that it's gonna be seen as weak if they like a trans woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Of course,
that's
they're going to
all.
be seen as weak because they don't view them as women.
Right.
They view them as a, a really, really feminine dude. Oh, well, then I'm gay.
And it's
Well,
like,
if all you're into is chicks, it's like you can still be straight, bro. Like, it's cool. You just into like all different types of chicks. That's great. Like,
yeah, exactly.
awesome. Yeah.
trans woman and woman.
Well, I mean, like I said, women are hot, dudes are hot, non-binary people are hot. I mean, I don't really.
Like if you're attracted to somebody, you're attracted to somebody. I mean, it's not, don't be
Yeah,
ashamed of it. I mean, that's the societal
because yeah.
standards that we have where you know you're told to feel ashamed for that type of stuff.
Well, yeah, and then the thing is, it's like, and then the shame is reinforced by punishment, and you know, social sanctions, and now we're seeing legislative sanctions and
Yeah.
targeting, especially here in Texas. You know, so there's actual ramifications. You know, and I don't really. I understand why people hide in groups. You know, I don't believe in choice or free will. So those behaviors make sense to me. It would make sense that if you're scared and afraid and insecure and you were never taught like anything, or your proclivity is to be weak, afraid, scared, insecure, subservient, you know, I mean, it would make sense that people go for like a religion that has like a sub kink, you know, and a slave kink and things like that. But what's really fucked up is it just doesn't seem like they're having fun with it. Like, it just seems like they're fucking miserable and then like being weird and harming people.
Yeah.
You know, they've got this weird sub kink. I mean, being a sub is hot, you know, just, but the problem is they're not, that's like, that's the dissonance. That's the issue. I had dissonance about myself for a long time. And then like, what's just like, fuck it. What are you going to do? You know? So if someone's going to harm you, they're going to harm you. But of course you got to play it safe. And I'm really bad about that sometimes, like watching my mouth or not airing my business when I shouldn't, because there are literally people in my life who are like have stalked me and target me and
Mm.
spread false
Yeah, I know
accusations. And,
the
yeah,
story of, yeah,
yeah, you know the
it's
deal. So
unfortunate. Yeah.
it really is unfortunate that people have nothing better to do with their time than harass people who do their best and are sweet, kind people. I mean, think about it. In the activism stuff, we know people get death threats, people get harassment, people get targeted for what they said. You know, I've had stuff used against me in the legal arena that thankfully, you know, the people in that arena were logical and empathetic and moral. You know, so but I could have been in a situation to where that wasn't the case, and people just went by
Yeah, this
feelings.
is
And
Texas. It could have gone
well,
pretty bad.
I can't believe it went the way it did. So it's amazing because even if you have truth and integrity and you know the best intentions and you're the best, you know, whatever, it's still it's so weird and skewed. So again, that's one of the reasons why like single parents, estranged, widowed, you know, a parents group for me is so important, just because of the glaring deficit that we have in Texas in general with like the family law stuff. Because men up until recently, well, men and then especially queer men and queer people and or people with a queer kid, or I mean, fuck, man, you get targeted, you know. And I've been there, done that, and still happens. And people are so when people spread lies about you and accuse stuff, and people are just so ready to jump on that bandwagon, it makes like bad people. Um, it like bolsters them, right? They can say the fucked up thing and do the fucked up behavior because no one's really going to slap them on the wrist. They're going to benefit from being a piece of shit and being a liar,
Yeah,
which is you
that's
see with
true.
people like Charlie Kirk. That guy benefited from being a fucking grifter and a liar. Guy's a millionaire. Look at Trump. It's just these people fucking lie
Yeah,
through their teeth.
so many feed off of that. Yeah, there's so many.
Well, and then they just say the same things because, oh, he said it, because they won't admit it. But like, okay, so you take a guy like Charlie Kirk, people are like, oh, he wasn't that dude was a politician if I've ever seen one. That dude was people were like half-masting the president of the United States announced his death. Like if and I hate comparing this stuff to Nazi stuff because it's so fucking typical. But I've been going down a deep dive about Himmler and what his role to play, and then like the stormtroopers. When you look at the stormtroopers and then the different pundits and people that were speaking for them, they weren't an official Nazi group. They were literally like young dudes roaming the streets, killing people and kicking their asses. We're seeing it, the same weird shit happen with people like Charlie Kirk and Turning Point, like the Turning Point troopers and people like that and Proud Boys. You know, I mean, we've all fought Nazi skinheads growing up, and so but that was so few and far between. But now it just blows my fucking mind.
Hey, Jason, I have a question about the setup for it. So you're saying you're
Yeah.
going to be doing the like holding classes like in schools. You're saying correct? Like school
Yeah.
districts. Will it be like after school type program or will it? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it'll be an after school program to where like with this specific program, it's through an AP psychology course. So they'll get homework, extra credit. Like it's a school approved program and
Gotcha.
everything.
Okay.
And again, it's being headed up by myself and then my buddy who's the professor there or the teacher there, a former professor, started working for the middle school. And we have full lesson plan, everything, you know.
Will it be with more than one school district? Are you only working with like
Sure. Oh, I
with,
mean,
like one or two schools at first?
again, this has been something that I've had on my heart. Listen to that Christian language on my heart for a long time, and just now's the time that I can do it. So yes, yeah. If that does show up, then yes, it's more or less like I'm just going to create an entity. And as you brought, okay, so right now I have my 3 main board members. 2 out of 3 were assigned female at birth. So I mean, it's I'm not even a board member. I'm just the organizer. So it's important that that the people who make decisions and platform, and then the other board members that we bring on board, like one of the prerequisites will be that they represent specific populations. Like when I hear people say things, I don't want someone to be a token. I don't want someone to be this.
I was talking to someone about that earlier. Like you can seek diversity, and you don't have to call it tokenizing.
But
Like it's
if that doesn't expose where
diversify.
people really are, so that's what's important to me. There needs to be representation. The thing is, in our organization, you get voted in every year. There's no 3 years, there's no 5 years, there's none of these weird tenure things. You have to be revoted in every year to be part of the board, to be part of those things. So there's going to be a lot of oversight. There's going to be a lot of like accountability and communication. There's, at this point in the bylaws, there's bi-monthly meetings, mandatory meetings for people to be involved in. There's like very specific things that the communication aspect to me is communication and representation are kind of right here. Like there needs to be, but I'm saying internally. Of course, externally, whoever's doing stuff as this expands, because I have vision, as it expands, like if there's another school district that wants like to have a girls group or something, or if they want to do a girls group there, then I'm going to have to find somebody. You know what I mean? Like I'm not
to be able to
do
keep that consistency of the level that you want it to represent. Basically,
it won't. I refuse to have it be any other fucking way. I fucking refuse to have it be any other way. If it makes it more difficult, if it takes time to find people, good. I'd rather it take fucking time, because this quick fix shit that we've seen, especially in like activism circles and online stuff and support groups and communities, that's been the thing. It generally just like bolsters one or two people. But then it's sold as something else when really, like, you might as well just be donating to those Texas Children's Hospital charities at the Kroger line, when really just goes to somebody's fucking office or Audi, right? I mean, what is it really doing? So I know what it's fucking doing. So and we're going to be open book. It's going to be one of those things where everything will be visible at all times, and anybody who wants to get involved, as long as you're vetted and you're credentialed, yes, like literally, yes, let's do it. And then, like I said, for anybody who does leadership membership roles, these are like, the goal is paid positions. Like you can volunteer if you want. Once we get the nonprofit set up, yes, get some interns come in college. Cool. Get some college credit stuff, like what I did, let's intern, let's set up other people for the future. Right. If people for psychology internships, social work internships, things like that, those are things I want to do. Do you have an idea? Cool. You have an idea? Great. I just know my ideas. Mine are, weird fighting dude ideas. Other people have other, you're like drag queen ideas. And this other person has like activist trans chick ideas. The other person has person of color, but we need to reach out to these things. And just so happens somebody happens to be religious. Awesome. Fucking great. You have progressive values. You vote in a way that supports marginalized communities, and you foster your own community. Fucking please. Yes. This is what we need. That's a pluralistic society right there. I mean, Pew Research projects secularism to be tapering off, which it will, with a massive stark increase in religiosity over the next 30 to 60 years. We have to prepare for that. And we have to hope that it's a progressive movement that supports humanism. So we have to face reality. And instead of pushing for things like nobody believe in these God things, that's not going to happen. You're going to get who doesn't believe. And then you're going to get who does, which is always going to be the majority. Always. It's never going to change. So if it does, it's not going to be in our fucking lifetime. But what we can do is build community, plant seeds of progressivism, and really worry about the real things, which is workers' rights. If you work, I don't give a fuck what you believe, what you look like, who you consensually fuck, what you consensually ingest, all these things. Are you a worker? Cool. We have the same plight. We're being held down by fucking scumfucks that use people's most important things, like their beliefs and their religion and their community, and they weaponize it and then they pit us against each other. It's as old as capitalism, you know? So that's my vision. My vision is whoever else's vision, right? Are you progressive? Are you this, that, and the other? Cool. Let's do it. Let's see. Can you pass a background check? That's really that's number one for me. Can you pass a background check? And I'm not saying like like background like where you like if you know what I mean, like real harm. Like I don't care if
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
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 going
no,
to
like,
for
jail for
sure.
smoking weed or something.
sexual
Yeah, yeah.
predators and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a predator. Or well,
Yeah.
have you been caught beating your spouse, or did you get your children removed from you? Like you have to have supervised visits with your kids. Fuck off. You know. So.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, for sure. So, like, speaking of that, parenting, like, I think a lot of men, like, it's generational harm,
Mhm.
generational toxic masculinity. Um, I'm really proud of Joe because earlier when our kid was first expressing their gender identity, I
Mhm.
think because of the way Joe was raised, he was a little resistant to it, and also because he saw the way that society treats
Oh yeah, man.
queer kids, right? And
Yeah.
so, like, making it public was a big no in the beginning
Hmm.
because of that. Because, like, well, they're already bullied without having that on top of everything else, like because they're autistic, because they have OCD,
Hmm.
because of this and that, and so. But Joe's come such a long way, and I don't know exactly. Maybe it's my incessant um drilling, like transgender brainwashing.
Good,
Okay,
good,
I
good job.
brainwashed him. I
Uh,
maybe one day he'll be transgender, kind of like Trump says. Like we're gifting him transgender surgeries or
Good,
something.
good.
But
Yeah.
anyways, but like, what do you have any advice for parents who
Oh,
are toxic parents, who hold on to that toxic masculinity? Don't do it to your kids.
do
Is there any advice other than don't do it?
well, I'm
Don't
trying
do
to
it.
watch because I have a lot of personal experience with this, so I'm really trying to watch what I say.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. There's the first one. This is what I get yelled at a lot in my house. Watch what you fucking say. Watch what you say to anybody. Watch what you put on social media. Watch what you fucking put anywhere. I've been accused of trying to just the most ridiculous
Yeah.
things, things I
Groom
can't
the
talk about.
children.
You know what I did for my kid when my kid started expressing some stuff about what we're talking about. I said, "Oh, okay. Well, what did my psychology courses say? Oh, get the kid therapy. Okay, cool. Because I recognized some stuff about a year before they told me some things. I remember I talked to some people about it, some people we know, and they're like, "Oh, you should probably do it." So I'm gonna mute myself. I got to. And so I was already studying this. I already knew, and I know my kid. So we did what you're supposed to do at that age. You get them therapy, and you allow for like things like haircuts and clothing changes, and just like any. I mean, I remember when I was 13, I changed the spelling of my name 14 times because I hated my name. I tried to go by Jr. and I tried to go by this, and that's cool. And then if somebody wants to change their name to better fit who they are as a person and their own personal experience and identity, who the fuck am I? I mean, it's your name. It's you.
That
It's
one's so
your
silly. That one's the silliest to me because, like, people change their name when they get married and nobody
dude,
cares, or they get
yeah, yeah.
random nicknames. So, like, in the
dude.
in the in the deaf community, there is this rite of passage. Like, when you meet a deaf person, they give you a name sign. So it's like and then you go by whatever name sign the deaf person
Hmm.
gave you. You don't get to choose it even.
Yeah,
So it's like what is the problem with a child wanting to go by a different name, even if they change it 30 times before they're 18? Doesn't matter. Go
I
with it.
mean, who cares? Like whenever I was fighting, I was given a fight name. People call me by my last name, Friedman. Friedman. I don't even get a first name half the time. I mean, it's and even older friends and people I grew up with would say even things I can't say here, but certain whatever. And people just call you what they call you, right? And then you call yourself what you call yourself. I know there's plenty of people in this online shit that give themselves their own names. There's plenty of conservative talking head media pundits who aren't even using their real name. I mean, people, it's look at who's that piece of shit? Hulk Hogan, that piece of shit. Wasn't his name was Terry, right? I mean, it's just guttural fucking noises that our AP brains sounds make for communication. I mean, it's really fantastic, but also really mundane at the same time, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's because it's all politically driven. It's all socio-culturally politically driven. Like nobody would care about like two dudes making out unless like you were told that there's something wrong with it, because it would just be two people making out. Again, it'd just be two people. Like maybe you don't like public, maybe it's like, hey, don't fucking make out in front of my kid. Right? Like that's cool. I don't want to see your tongue down your fucking person's throat in front of my child. We're literally at a kid's birthday party. I mean, yeah, there you go. It doesn't matter if it's two dudes, whatever. This isn't the appropriate situation. Now you go to your house, you can fucking do whatever you want. Tell me about it later. I mean, it's great, but I don't. It's you have this meme of tradition, make America great again, how it used to be. This whole, I think a lot of it goes along with like how people are like ancient wisdom. There's something about this like nostalgia thing, and I think it's tied in with movies a lot. I really do. No, I do, because like if you look at every like social popularity explosion thing, like when people started seeing aliens, it was after Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and somehow all the aliens looked like the aliens from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Exorcisms went on a rise after The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby and The Omen and stuff like that came out. We are the modern America, the masses. People talk the masses. Was it Aristotle? The masses. Hobbes taught the Hobbesian dilemma. The masses are easily swayed, very easily swayed. That's why there's a Google ethics committee for algorithms, because of how easily swayed humans are. We are so easily made to think and do things without even being aware of it. So of course it's not a conspiracy. Of course, people know this and they utilize it and steer it. And it's that, and what they do is they utilize that dopamine fucking fiend. They want that anxiety, anticipation. And you're just addicted to dopamine, to quick release dopamine. It's passive joy. It's like watching sports versus doing sports. Generally, that version of joy is actually a lot harder and takes a lot more work, but it's different. It's long. The reaction is different. The chemicals are different. The lasting effects are different. There's no satisfaction in that constant dopamine release. So we've gotten addicted to constant dopamine. We've gotten addicted to like false conflict. That's why I keep bringing up conflict. People were addicted to like false resolutions and false conflict that we don't even know what a resolution looks like. That's why people freeze up, because they don't know what to fucking do. It's a freeze response. They don't have any real like life interaction. That's why people act certain ways in traffic that they would never act in real life. People act certain ways online and say things they would never say in person, right? Because you have that wall in between you. It's like those videos you see whenever you're doom scrolling at 3 a.m. from insomnia, where like there's two dogs barking at each other between a fence, but then they move the fence and they stop.
Yeah.
But then you put the stupid chain link and it's hard. Everybody's seen that, So that's what we've been conditioned to do. We've been conditioned to behave that way towards each other and to turn inwards, when really it's those motherfuckers. And that's the only thing I can harp on, is that like, if we can dissolve these toxic fucking traits and become more pluralistic, then we're just going to do better as people. You're going to make more money, bro. You're going to do better. You're going to be appreciated for your hard work. You're going to like treated the way you should be fucking treated. Right. But really, as long as you're treated like you're disposable, then the rest of society is going to treat you like you're disposable. You're going to treat yourself like you're disposable. You're going to treat other people like you're disposable. And then you're just going to like fetishize each other like a commodity. You just become an object. You objectify each other. And that's the problem. Not only does toxic masculinity objectify women, but you understand that like even within like gay male culture, there's a lot of toxic fucking masculine behavior, exclusionary behavior, being a bi guy. There's bi exclusion. There's a lot of things like that. So
Yeah.
within male dominated spaces, you're going to have that toxic masculinity. It's not just for straight white dudes. Gay dudes are and that talks about that in the Velvet Rage, are just as, if not sometimes worse, when it comes to those things, because you hold up these fucking standards and it's just like constant judgment or constant permissiveness, or it's just like these fucking higher lows, because nobody really knows how to do conflict. In a lot of cases, these dudes are just so permissive, you have an open relationship because you don't want to deal with it. It's just easier not to fucking say anything. Why would you disrupt a place to live? Like, I know dudes who at this point they're just roommates, just like any other fucking shitty married couple, but they end up staying together because you just learn how to compartmentalize your whole life. Men just compartmentalize everything and you just go fucking nuts.
Wow. Yeah. That's so true. Like I don't even know, like, the way I see most men right now. It's hard to imagine, I don't know, 20, 40, 50 years from now, if we actually stuck to breaking down that toxic masculinity, if we actually embraced, if men actually embrace going to therapy
Mm-hmm.
and being more, vulnerable, and more open and more communicative with their partners and their children. Like, I don't even know what that world would look like. It's
Dude, you
hard
would
to
have
imagine.
you would have healthier dudes. These dudes would be more badass. They would look more like the things that they glorify. They would be healthier emotionally. Whenever you're less stressed and you're healthier emotionally, you put on more muscle, you lean out. It's all these things that like all these dudes glorify and want to be like. That's how you be like it. You
Yeah.
actually protect by being emotionally intelligent. You actually protect by knowing whenever you need to sometimes just shut the fuck up and go away, right? Like you actually sometimes you need to get protected and you need to see what that feels like. It's
Hmm.
I don't know, ever since coming out years ago and being open about it, coming out to general public in life, um it's really challenged me, my view of myself. But then I look at myself now and it's like watching early fights of myself versus now 20 years later. Like, God, what a fucking putz. What are you doing in there, man? Even I'm winning and I'm just like, oh my God, I don't want to show anybody. Just look like an idiot, But I look at myself, 10, 15 years ago and I thought I was doing so well and so secure in myself. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what a fucking idiot. But I think that's good because all you can do is really compare yourself to yourself. You start comparing yourself to other people. It's fucking foolish. You're never going to win because you don't even know what that other person's fucking doing, right? You don't even know. So it's half the time you just find out they're suffering just as much as you are. So I think if we lay down these like false behavior and if we actually are emotional and vulnerable, you just you're just I think it just makes everything more tolerable. It makes you physically healthier. You're just better at your exploits, the things that you're able to like build better relationships. I just think, and then you're also able to like make quicker decisions. I mean, it's just you're functioning at a better level because a lot of that stress and just tension is relieved. You're not constantly afraid. Or if you are afraid, because some people have anxiety all the time, they can't get rid of it. You learn how to deal with it and you learn how to siphon it and you accept it. And it's one of those things you work through and deal with. And that's just the thorn in your side for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And maybe, just maybe, woman will finally pick the man and not the bear.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be nice. It's just
It
a
would
shame.
be.
It's just a shame when it comes that it is at that point. I've really had to work on myself personally is trusting men, like straight presenting white men. I have such a distrust for men in general. Um,
Like, if I go out with Joe, like totally trust him to keep me safe. But I shouldn't have to feel that I have to be protected.
there you go.
And it's like,
There you go.
whenever I go out by myself or with my kid, I bring mace
Hmm.
because I can't trust men out there. It's
Yeah.
like, even though I know a whole lot of amazing men that I would not have a problem being alone with, like I will be like
Hmm.
completely trust that they wouldn't cross any lines. It's like in the back of my head, I'm still like, well, but like 95% of the others seem like a threat,
Yeah,
you know?
and that could be trauma. You know, it's funny, and now you're making me think about the stuff I was talking about earlier, like the cognitive processing. You actually gave a number, and you gave an emotional.
Oh, it was random.
No, 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 but it's great because that's what you want. You want quick. So you have, yeah, and generally, as part of the processing is like you assign a percentage value. Like I am 95% sure. Yeah, I feel fear. I'm 95% certain. And then you start to investigate that. You know, like are these all or nothing statements? Are these and then sometimes your fear ends up being justified. You know, and you may assume, but you may assign different emotions to it after you've kind of worked through it and spent some time on it, and because it's a story, you're telling yourself a story at all times. I cannot trust 95% of men. You know, it's like, and now is there evidence for this? Is there evidence against it? Is there, you know, and then but you evaluate all those steps because there's a reason why you fear men. It could be direct, it could be indirect. It's generally a mixture of both. Trauma doesn't always have to be directly related to what you've experienced. A lot of people are traumatized from seeing wrecks. A lot of people are traumatized from witnessing a parent getting abused. You know,
Right.
um, so or watching another sibling. You know, you hear this a lot. Another sibling getting abused, right? And you feel massive amount of trauma and a massive amount of guilt because like you couldn't do anything. A lot of times you see in cases to where the sibling that was abused generally recovers if in therapy and whatever better than the the abuse happened because you have like survivor's guilt. You have a sense of like ineptness and a sense of impotence. You know, I couldn't perform in this situation. I couldn't come to their aid, and it's like you're reliving what you didn't do, what you couldn't have done. You have a lot of cognitive dissonance because of it. It's like the guy who went to war and didn't throw himself on the grenade, and his buddy died in front of him. Right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. That actually in our text, in our cognitive dissonance text, it brought that example up and how it's all about like alleviating the discomfort in you. So you have, you know, are you more comfortable with living or dying? Right? Could you live with yourself knowing that you could have saved this person? Right? It's so interesting. Like what ends up what you end up weighing out as a human, but it all kind of goes back to the same shit just because it's how our brains go.
Yes, it's making me think of what specific instances made me come to that conclusion, and I can think of several.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like as a teenager, there's two that stick out right away. One
Mm-hmm.
was I went with my mom to the grocery store, and this was before I ever met Joe, and but it was here in the U.S. So we went to the store to Kroger, and there I walked away from my mom to grab something. I was maybe like 15.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I looked a lot younger because I'm really short. I probably looked maybe like 12 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the workers there walks up to me. And at first he was like acting like, hey, do you need something? And I was like, no, I'm good. And he just kept talking and talking and talking and like kind of hitting on me at some point. And like this was like a 20 something year old guy. And
Yep.
I'm telling you, like I looked like 12 or so. And so it was like he wouldn't leave me alone. So I walked away and he followed me all the way until I found my mom. And then he walked away.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another one where we lived in an apartment and I went to wash some clothes or something. And, it's the typical, well,
Mm-hmm.
what was she wearing? Because I was wearing a crop top, but I was a little bit older at the time. I think like 16 or 17. And this guy just follows me into the laundry room and like trying to get me like, hey, I'm hanging out with my buddy over here. Like, you wanna come into the apartment and blah blah blah. And it's like
Fuck no.
creeps. And then my own father. The thing that you were just talking about, survivor's guilt, really sticks with me because my biological father was a pedophile, and
Jesus Christ.
he abused my oldest sister, and I think he was on the way to doing the same to myself and my younger sister. And I was try to, like, I felt gross around him, so I will always try to not hang out with him whenever
Mhm.
he will come for visits. But unfortunately, I was young. I was maybe like 10, 9. I didn't know at the time. I didn't understand at the time that if I left, I was leaving him with my younger sister.
Yeah.
And so later on, when we will discuss this as adults, it came up, and I felt so guilty over that because, like, what could I have done? But like at the same time, what could I have done? Like I was a kid,
No,
I
you
didn't know
literally
what
could
to
have
do.
done nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I had a family member abuse my brother pretty bad in different ways, but pretty fucking bad. And I held a lot. And this was when I was 18, and I had to get away from them, and I had moved out of the house, and just bad situation. And I felt terrible about it. And I mean, my brother was hospitalized for a long time because of it, and it was pretty fucked up. But I mean,
wow.
what are you going to do? Like whenever you have a parent who's just so abusive and so vicious, but then like all the people around you know about it and they do nothing about
Yeah.
it. Like literally, like person after person after person knows, drugs and abuse and just terrible shit. Like yeah, just terrible like movie fucked up shit, hoarding and just all these things, setting themselves on fire multiple times. And it's just, and then you have like another parent who just pretends like it's not happening, enables it, and then a whole family who pretends like it's not happening and enables it. And then my brother ends up in a hospital. People pretend like nothing happened. I mean, it's just fucked up. Just years and years of abuse. But like I held that for a long time. I was like, what could what could I have done? There's literally nothing you can do. It's. I felt like my hands were tied with my kiddo for a long time because again, it's like they're getting treated a certain way and they're begging me to like do things to where they don't get treated that way anymore. And
Whether legally, you feel like you can't do anything
oh
because
no,
then you will be the guilty party if you
exactly.
do
And then people are
something.
like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, that was being, I mean, I got framed like that. Like I was being coercive and all this crazy shit. And luckily the kid speaks for themselves, but, it's just crazy how like abusers will orchestrate a dynamic that makes you feel as though you had some sort of role to play in it. Because what that goes to show you is that there's a whole lot that surrounds abusive actions. They get their fix, like a narcissist gets their supply, but there's a whole lot of prep work and ritual around all of that. And I'm sure if you were to look back at those situations and whenever you recognize things, that there was ritual built all around it. There were certain behaviors, there were certain things. I mean, if you can remember those things, but there's always some weird ritualistic pattern based behavior around abuse. And if you spend enough time looking at it, you'd actually probably be able to write it out and see how it happens. Because that's the thing about abusers is that, especially people who like what I've people who abuse men, it's for one, who was I to say that I got raped? I'm saying I would never tell anybody that. It's only talked about it the past couple of years. So there's reasons why you don't say that, right? It's
Yeah.
you get ha 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 whatever, or whatever, it's you don't talk about getting abused by men. Don't talk about getting abused by a female partner because you're viewed as, oh, you're pushing me, blah, blah. And it's like, no, dude, like there's different types of abuse. Like let's say I went through physical abuse, right? Let's say I had a partner who was beating me, a female partner who was beating me and hitting me. Well, I'm a 6 foot, 210 pound former semi-pro cage fighter with cauliflower ears and scars and evidence of fighting. If I were to defend myself in that situation, grab somebody, move them out of the way, even if it got violent enough physically, defend myself, the fear that I have to worry about is me and my appearances and their perception. And
But
so,
then if the police gets called, then who's gonna be seen as
Yeah.
the
well,
attacker, right? Yeah.
so there's, and then they have to treat it equally and things like, yeah. So, and I've been in situations where I had a partner who physically attacked me multiple times, and a female partner, and there's nothing I can do about it, or you say there's nothing, so you get stuck. So there's this like stuckedness that a lot of men have, is that really leads them to be toxic. But yeah,
Yeah,
look at that. The culture of
uncharted.
not being able to talk about it, abuse as a man, is toxic masculinity. Men should be able to see, and that's the thing. That's what leads to it,
That's
because
exactly it.
you
Yeah.
bottle it in and you pretend like it's not there, and then you get validated for these crazy behaviors, and you get validated for being a person who you're not. So you end up hating the people who validate you, and you end up hating yourself because you're not genuine. But then you continue to perpetuate that behavior, and it's just, and then after a while, you end up,
Cycle.
just fucking, you have what Jung called an anxiety disorder, right? You just fucking snap. You don't even know who you are. You lose yourself, whatever that means. But
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, it's
I think that's where we're at right now, is because of all this. Like in this nation, is a result of what we're talking about.
it is, and it's like I've seen a couple of other men, aside from you, who have been abused in their relationships, or like, for example, their female partner forced them to leave their job, and then
Mhm.
they were dependent on her
Mm-hmm.
to live, and then it becomes physical. It can become physical. Men who are set up or falsely accused of sexual
Mm-hmm.
abuse, right? And everybody's like, well, believe the woman, believe the victim. No, 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 no. Believe until there's evidence
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, right? And it turns out that sometimes that can happen. That men can get set up for sexual abuse that never happened.
Yeah.
And
Sadly,
it's
it happens
really,
more often than you. And then a lot of
yeah,
times
Yeah.
they'll try to steer it. People are masters at not saying things, but they'll try to game it a lot of times towards the kid. Like they're not safe to be around the kid. That's because that's legal stuff. That's legalese. Because the concern in
yeah.
like Texas mainly is safety, and they won't even talk about themselves because nobody cares about domestic abuse in Texas. Nobody does. But what they care about is the kid stuff and safety. And oh no, I know people and have also been a target of lies and smear campaigns. It's pretty disgusting. So I still deal with it all the time, of
Right,
people
and
just lying about my behavior.
they feed off of that toxic masculinity because they're
Hmm.
using that societal understanding
Hmm.
that men are,
Yeah.
dangerous, to be like,
Yeah.
well, I have a personal
Yep.
issue with my partner, so I'm gonna use that to make them look like they're a predator,
Hmm.
even though they never ever touched the child
Of
or did
course.
anything. Yeah, it's like
Oh yeah.
it's so
Being called like a
enraging.
sexual
Yeah.
deviant, being called, yeah, I don't know. It's oh, I've wow. It's definitely sobering whenever you see people start going down that route, you know,
Hmm.
start
Yeah.
it's well, it just seems fake because it's so dishonest and immoral that it just, what they're doing is like utilizing the social media leverage bullshit, people like Charlie Kirk and Trump and all the political fucking garbage. And I'm just asking, yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
they
gross.
know that people are gonna side
Hmm.
with the woman majorly. I'm a
Yeah.
woman, so like I can
Uh-huh.
say this, okay? I can say it that they're gonna side with the woman because because of the whole
Hmm.
feminist movement and all of that.
Hmm.
And it's like this is what makes men not speak up and not feel like they're safe, being vulnerable and being
Hmm.
emotional and being open and
Oh yeah.
uh, revealing, past traumas or sexual abuse. And it's like it
Or
shouldn't
asking for help, or
be
being
that
like, hey,
way. Asking for
I'm
help.
in need
Yeah.
right now. Somebody help me out. I'm doing my best. Somebody fucking help me, please God. No, I get it. It's you get penalized for those things.
And so speaking of help, like do you currently have like any website or something set up for this therapy program that you're gonna start, or are you
Well,
working on that?
again, I'm working on that right now. I just wanted to know how to approach it. Again, I've been talking with the couple board members and other people on the sidelines who are involved. I don't want to launch anything yet,
But
until, but like I didn't want to like count my chickens before they hatch type of thing. So I wanted to
yeah,
know that I had people on board and who shared the same vision. I wanted to get some specific people, some roles involved, and kind of know where I wanted to go forward. I got my bylaws. I've got like conflict resolution stuff written up. I've got everything, just all my paperwork, my application written up, and I'll be submitting it this week. Once I submit it, then I will be building a web page. Probably start off with Instagram stuff. Social media, just keep it kind of simple to begin with. Because
Yeah, I would say like Facebook, Instagram.
well, yeah, because I'll eventually,
Instagram.
once I get approved, once it gets approved, we'll be setting up an org website and all those things. We searched out the names and all that stuff, and you've helped me with some stuff, and so it's been nice already. Just I've already presented this to some people, and they're just like, yeah. And I can't help but think that maybe me being a dependable person and being an advocate, is what has led other people who I really respect and who put in a lot of work for this type of stuff to be like, hey, I like your vision. I have a similar vision. Let's work together. So I literally only view myself as an organizer. I don't.
Yeah, I know you've asked me. I'm honored that you've
Yeah.
asked me. As long as you're good with me potentially moving away
Right.
from the
Go.
city and
Go,
working
s- go,
virtually,
go start another chapter of our cult somewhere else. What I
Yeah.
mean? That's what we're supposed to do. Go, be nice to people.
drag
and
it
help them.
away to the West Coast.
Please,
trying
God,
to
no.
Yeah, we're trying to get out of Texas because it's just like so it's things
Not
are just
safe.
horrible here in
Bad
Texas.
boy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, no,
definitely
it's
not
not safe.
safe.
No, I think as far as everything goes, we're still going to be here for the next 4 years, just due to custody and parental stuff. Now, if something
Yeah.
changes,
Understandable.
then
Yeah.
if something changes, we will be planning a move ASAP. I already have certain places. I mean, once the kid hits old enough, once the kid hits 18, we will be going either Pacific Northwest or eventually out of the country. So, but yeah, I mean, luckily with like what we're doing here, this can all be remote. There's luckily with the nonprofit, not everybody has to reside in Texas. I have my mailing address right now until we get any sort of like other things. It's just like I've done with everything. I just break the ground and get it going. Like if I get a vision, like all the bands I play in, I write the music. I obsess over it. Before I show it to everybody, I have a record written generally, and I know
Nice.
where it's all supposed to go. Like I just went and laid down. If anybody understands recording, I went and laid down my rhythm guitar tracks to like a metronome track without the drummer, just with the sound engineer. Because I know where everything goes. I just literally know where it's supposed to be. And then Ramsey, the engineer, is like, how'd you do that? I go, what? He goes, just like know where everything goes. I go, I can't do otherwise. Of course, like why would I do something if I didn't know where it's supposed to go? So I
Yeah.
just kind of extend, like I learned that through fighting. If I do what needs to be done, then I will accomplish it. So that's how I'm extending it with this. I'm kind of putting out a signal. Anybody who knows me knows how I am. I am a transparent, vulnerable, way too outspoken for my own good motherfucker. I'm good at organizing shit. So if we get people who are better at these types of things, like talking to people, acting with people, and being nice and building community, please God help me. Because all I'm really good at is being really loud and not putting up with any shit and protecting people. And that's really it. So if anybody has an idea, please help me because
Well,
this brain's tired.
I mean, it sounds like you have a good foundation to build off with just that. So
Yeah.
I mean, for sure.
No, I
I mean,
appreciate you.
I'm in the Houston area with I run a fairly large well, it's a news media site here in Houston, and
Mhm.
I'd be glad to to present and showcase your organization on
Oh, yeah.
on my site. Yeah.
That's great, man.
Oh yeah, that would be good. I didn't think about that. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's a good
Thank
I
idea.
have
you
like
so much.
50,000 people like that follow my page, man.
Shut
So
the fuck up. I didn't even know
yeah,
that. That's so
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, do
That's
you follow it?
beautiful, man.
It's called HTX
News, HTX
News.
News. Yeah.
HTX News.
I am
I'll send it
so
to you.
involved in my own shit that somebody just has to
understand.
show me,
Yeah,
and then I
yeah.
will. I'd love to. That's so great. I didn't even
Yeah,
know
but
that.
I'd be glad to do an article and showcase you guys and even
Fuck
present you on all of my social media channels for sure.
Dude, I'd love
Yeah.
to do that. I would fucking love to do that. That'd be great.
I really love like everything that you're trying to get going. It sounds like it's awesome. Like it's definitely needed. Definitely.
I think me bringing tears to my
Oh,
eyes.
yeah.
As that there you go crying. It's I do it too often. No, I really appreciate you saying that, and I want to be able to like just get this thing and I can just sit back like I did when I was a bouncer and just like I know how everything's running. This is good. Oh, there's a problem. Let's go talk and figure out. Okay, cool. Now I'm just gonna go back to doing nothing. Like I think that's it's like I won't take up too much more of y'all's time, but this has just been burning inside of me.
Oh no, go
It's
for
I
it.
really there was I read Martin Luther King wrote the letter in the Birmingham jail, and he was talking to like other different religious leaders, and and he was really criticizing them because they spoke a lot of they had a lot of vocal support, but when it came to mobilization and outreach and actually voting and speaking with their feet and things like that, they didn't do it. And that's when he was saying, he's like, I'm pretty sure that the church I've been looking at that I thought was my church isn't. He goes, I think my church is inside of me. Yeah, he goes, I just, this is not, I need to start looking in different places for my community. Maybe my community is just me at this point. But, and it's crazy because his approval ratings were so low until he was martyred. I'm sorry. My family's talking. Hey, buddy.
So,
1 second, okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I
No, no, you're good,
apologize.
Jason.
Here you go. This is my kiddo right here looking for their computer. Here you go, man.
oh, okay, okay.
Right here. There you go, buddy. Sorry about that. We
Awesome.
got school stuff. We're probably gonna have to go jump on some school stuff here in a second, anyways. So,
Okay, yeah. We already had 2 hours, so I was winding
Oh, you were doing that? You were
winding it
doing...
down. Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
why I was
I see. I
asking.
see. Sorry.
No, you're good. That's why I was like asking about if you had a page and stuff like
Oh, I
that, so
see.
we can
Okay.
let people know where to find you and things like that. But we'll come up with like an article that Joe can share once you have
Yeah.
maybe like the Instagram or whatever, so that
Mhm.
so that so that they know exactly where to go, and it's not just like um yeah, so they have
Just
a
me
place
existing.
to
No, I
contact
get it.
you.
No,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. No, I wanted to make sure that I had everything in row. I mean, between you and me, this was kind of a quick. All right, let's get you on here. Let's do this. It's
Yeah.
maybe this will just show some other people, get some other people excited. I'm gonna be
Yeah, they,
talking with
like
Helen.
everybody in the chat was like really into this conversation because it's something I've been trying to do a show
Yeah,
on for quite a while, and we
good.
had a plan with somebody else to do with Eli. Eli's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
do
I love
one
Eli.
about that. Yeah, he's awesome. So we're gonna do that one in the future as well, on the same topic, but more like very specific. Like, hey, here's what you can do, stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's great. I think that's super cool.
But I always told Eli, that I'm that when I point out that, let's say, some organizations are majorly cis white men, I'm not trying to say anything against them. In fact, I think that cis white men have a really good place and a really good ability
Hmm.
to elevate the voices that need to be elevated.
Well,
Don't
yeah, that's
just
what yeah.
don't just be the voice doing the talking. Like, help the
That's where I see my role. I'm
yeah,
like, it's yeah, I've got some
right.
demographics. I've got a little persecution, but like, I could navigate just fine if I wanted to.
Right,
If
but
I
that's
could
what
find a way.
that's what I liked about what you were just saying right now. That you were just saying, okay, like I'll just sit and do nothing because like you're the organizer, and that's what we need. And we need people that have that privilege of being able
Hmm.
to do that and coordinate and put everything together to where like we say, people of color, queer people, immigrants, whatever,
Yes, all marginalized groups. No,
they
I
can
really want
Yeah.
each,
bilingual stuff. I need that. I mean, my
yeah.
Spanish is terrible, but it's good enough. It's
Yeah, like so that each one can do their
yes,
thing and yeah,
in an
and get it.
unimpeded fashion without my fucking opinions. Like just shut the fuck up. I don't. You don't need my opinions about your shit. That's so stupid. From what I've learned recently, their opinions about my shit and my opinions about your shit, I don't care. You shouldn't care either. So I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna real quick pull up my um. Whoa, where'd it go?
Oh, that was
Okay.
fancy. That did a thing.
Yeah. Upcoming shows that we have. So let's see. Tomorrow, no, not tomorrow. Thursday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Thursday, we're gonna have Steve Kikadis. We're gonna talk about navigating interfaith relationships because he wrote a book called Humanism from the Heart, and he's married to a woman who's a Christian, and he is a humanist, a secular humanist, and so he has experience with that. So we're going to talk about that. And then Friday, misinterpretations is going to be on, and we're going to be talking about how easy it is to fool the brain with anything, stress, drugs, legal medications that you're prescribed by your doctor, lack of sleep, being hungry, whatever, anything that doesn't have to be anything extreme. You don't have to be like completely intoxicated, drunk to be able to fool your brain. Then the following week, the 14th, which is next Tuesday, Felicia is going to be on, and she is going to talk about random stuff. Okay, we're probably going to go on a lot of tangents, and that's why the show is called Tangents. We're going to talk about ADHD, science, technology, and random stuff. She's like, I saw her on Helen's show, and I was like, you know what? I don't care what we talk about. I gotta have her on. She seems really cool, and so we're just gonna talk. Then the 21st, which is the following, like 2 weeks from now, Tuesday, again, Eli is gonna come to talk about star stuff, space,
I'm
cosmos.
excited about that one. That was gonna be
That was
fun.
gonna be fun. Yeah, and then in November, okay, I don't have this one posted, but for my birthday, I'm probably gonna do something. I don't know. I've invited some people. We're still working on it. But then end of November, we're gonna have Richard Gilliver, and he's writing a book on philosophy. So we're gonna talk about philosophical arguments, shitty ones, good ones, all that stuff. So, okay, so those are the shows we have coming up, and thank you to everybody, especially you, Jason, for coming up and talking about this really difficult topic that a lot of people don't wanna talk about.
Oh,
So
for sure. I
you
really
made it
appreciate you guys. I like
easy.
you
Yeah,
guys.
no, it's been a great discussion, man. I really enjoyed that. You get a lot of insight and in-depth discussion on that for sure. And I
Oh,
look
thanks,
forward
man.
to what you're gonna build and grow for sure.
Yeah, I look forward to working with you on the new stuff too. I just saw him getting texted by my buddy who's the teacher at the school I'm talking about. He's, oh, that was great. I just see, he's just like, yeah, shooting me messages right now. So he's real excited about it too. And I'm excited to, maybe we can do a follow up after we start getting the program going and talk about the more programs we're trying to get working. So I'm
Sweet.
excited about it. Thank you guys. I really appreciate y'all bringing me on here to talk about these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason, anytime.
That's fine. Okay, somebody said rage. Don't forget rage. Rage. Will fool you into thinking that people you see in traffic can hear you even though you are in a separate vehicle. That's funny. Yeah. All right. So whether you are a man who's listening, who's been told from childhood, to man up and be tough, or you're a partner in a couple who's experienced this toxic masculinity, or somebody who just wants to see a kinder world, I hope that this episode helped you out. And we will keep you posted on Jason's non-profit. We'll have him back after it's done. We'll have him back. Okay. I'll talk about some more stuff. And all right, thank you guys. Yeah, have a good night.
Bye.
See you.
Take care.